Your YouTube feed is crap. Stop wasting your time watching bot-boosted shills and self-appointed gurus cloying for your attention. Instead, join the Gosslings interview live stream and podcast. The Gosslings, a dark-lit digital speakeasy of free thinkers. A super chat of radical truth-seeking wizards who eat trolls for second breakfast. Topics that'll make your mama's hair stand on end. Ideas that'll make your pastor's knees knock. Guests that will illuminate the hidden chambers of your mind. And interviews that strike down the darkness. Welcome to the Gosslings.
What's up, everyone? I'm Jonathan.
I'm Nick.
And we are the Gosslings. And we have an amazing show for you today that we are super excited about. But first, we wanted to talk about our sponsors real quick.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. First, of course, we got to mention Joel up there at Jericho Pottery. These are the Kothon Spartan mugs. He is an unofficial sponsor of the show. He sent us these mugs. They are amazing. This is what historians believe is the closest representation of what the Spartan Kothon mug actually looked like, as advised by Stephen Pressfield, who
Uncle
worked with
Steve.
Joel
Yeah.
to create these, handcrafted every single one of them. Check him out. Go to jerichopottery.com.
Yeah.
He's got a number of different things on here, but
his partnership with Stephen Pressfield is perfect. Stephen Pressfield wrote The Legend of Bagger Vance.
Yep.
He wrote The War of Art, which everybody knows. And
Yep.
then he wrote my personal favorite book, The Gates of Fire, which is
Gates of
about
Fire.
the Battle of Thermopylae.
Hot dog.
300, but smart.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
it's awesome.
But
So,
deep.
Yeah, deep. Yeah.
Right.
And
Makes you think.
yeah, Steve's awesome. He's a prior service Marine and a psychology degree writer. You know, he's genius. And his team up with Joel to produce these Spartan mugs was inspired work. It was absolutely cool. So
Very cool. And we have a new sponsor, an official sponsor. You That's want
right.
to tell everybody about that?
If you do not feel like a man enough just from holding your Spartan Kothon mug, then you might also want to feel like a man with Giordani Jovanovic hair care products. We became friends with the owner of this company. Giordani Jovanovic is owned and operated by a husband and wife team out of Arizona, and they create an extensive line of hair care products. I have been using the shampoo and conditioner and beard balm and beard oil and hand and face cream for about a week now. We just got these in last Saturday, and I've been using them for about a week, and I love them, man. They're great. They smell great. I'm not a product guy, like you can tell by looking at me generally in any of the live streams, but I will tell you, like, for the first time, I've been actually using product in my hair, and like I could tell a difference. Like,
If you're going to go out and strike down the darkness, you might as well look good.
Look good, baby. Do it in style. Be
That's
deadly.
right.
Be as deadly as you are sexy with Giordani
That's
Jovanovic
right.
hair care products. So, and they're great. They're Christians. They run a small little business, and they are super excited to be partnering up with us.
Yeah,
and
we
we're
are too.
very blessed to have them. And he sent us all this stuff to try out, and I've been trying it for a week. Nick just got it, so he's going to try it for the next week. And yeah, we're very blessed and very excited.
Absolutely. We really appreciate that.
Giordani Jovanovic.
And before we bring our guest on, which is going to happen in just a second, I just want to remind everybody, if you would, please strike the button. And I should mention too, we're transitioning over to a new channel.
Yes.
Right. So if you're watching this on the old Goslings channel, just click the links. There are links everywhere. You can't miss the links to the new channel. Go over there, hit subscribe. We're just going to start moving all of our content over, and all of our new content moving forward is going to be on that site exclusively.
Yeah.
So be sure to go over to the new channel. That'll help us reach more people.
Yeah.
But thank you for joining us. That's all of the obligatories.
Yeah.
Now let's get into the good stuff.
Yeah.
Let's get the show really rolling. So this gentleman reached out to me. He is a friend of Derek Gilbert's. I think he's been on his. His name is Raymond Mhor.
Yeah.
And he is the Kilted prepper. And you wanted to come talk about preparedness, Christian preparedness in particular. Right. And he is a really interesting dude. He's got a degree. He has a background in special ops, I believe, during the Reagan administration. he grew, his mother was like Depression era.
Mhm.
So he learned to like can and preserve and
Oh,
dehydrate
cool,
and
yeah.
forage and all those things. So that was kind of his childhood.
Yeah.
And then, later on in life, he survived the H1N1 pandemic in a country that was actually locked down.
Really?
Yeah. I think he lived as an expat in Costa Rica and Panama for a while.
Interesting.
He's just super guy. Awesome author. He's written 8 books. He was featured on the History Channel. Preparedness. This guy's bailiwick.
Yeah.
Is preparedness.
If you're a Christian, if you're looking to get into prepping, if you want to understand what realistic, real world prepping is like, you cannot do better than Raymond Mhor.
Here we go. Bring him on here.
Hey guys.
Hey, how are you, sir?
Doing awesome, man. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, man.
Yeah.
Thank you for being on the show and for the interview. We've got a ton of questions, for you. And before we jump into all that, want to do our toast just real quick. I'll let Jonathan lead it this time.
Yeah. Take up your libations here, whatever you're drinking. And real quick, Ray, what are you
what do you
drinking
got over there, Ray?
This is 3 ice cubes with Johnny Walker Double Black, which is a very peated, smoky whiskey.
Oh,
So
nice.
Yeah, double black. Nice.
All right.
I'm a big fan of Lafroig, so yeah,
Mhm.
and yeah, good choice. Absolutely. All right, we'll take up your drinks here and we'll do the toast.
All right.
Take up the broken sword of your father.
And strike down the darkness.
Darkness.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Mm.
Oh, man. Yeah.
I liked in your intro, you had a little reference to Second Breakfast.
That's right. Yeah.
Absolutely. A homage to Lord of the Rings for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a
Wizards, trolls, and eating them for second breakfast.
It's a very important part of the itinerary every day, a second breakfast.
Does second breakfast fit into the realistic prepper's lifestyle, or should we just keep it to 2 or 3 meals?
I don't know. It depends on how often you like to eat. And then also how much food you may have, too.
That's right.
Yeah.
See?
Yep.
That's why we have Ray on.
That's right.
Nick, you want to start off with Nick's got a ton of questions. I have a handful.
I'm going to start off with kind of more of a high level question, just kind of step back, just more philosophical. You talk a lot, you use the term realistic prepping lifestyle. Tell us a little bit about what does that mean?
In the past, in fact, in the last, ever since prepping really became popular, when Doomsday Prepper and everything came on and everything, it became, more mainstream. And what came out of that is all this cool guy stuff. I mean, these really great switchblades and super cool AR-15s and just all this junk that is overpriced, doesn't really work, and is just, the common man, it's not affordable to them. And that's the biggest thing is I want to make things affordable to the common man. And because on my articles and website and YouTube channel and everything, I talk about realistic stuff. And, for example, I love dehydrating. I've got an Excalibur dehydrator. And anybody who's been into dehydrating always starts off with these round Ronco things you buy at Walmart. You're going to burn through 3 of them. And then finally, you're going to get either pissed off and say, screw it, and not dehydrate anymore. Or you're going to end up going out and buying an Excalibur. And whereas if people would just listen to my reviews, I've been there, done that, got the t-shirts and everything. I'm wanting to save people money. And because it's just, especially in these days with the inflation going on and everything, money's tight. But by doing good quality gear and not listening to all the cool guy crap and everything, I mean, you don't have to go out there and who's that British guy? I totally forget his name and everything. You don't have to go out and buy all his cool gear.
Bear Grylls.
Bear Grylls, yeah. Good guy and everything, good stuff. But you don't
approved.
But it's thinking more realistically, and so why not just save the pennies, do a garage sale, and go get an Excalibur instead of wasting your time and money. Where if you on the 3 Roncos you're going to buy anyways and burn out. So I really try to point things out to people, get good quality stuff so that you're only buying it one time. Because if the poo hits the fan and you got one of these Roncos, it's going to blow out in the middle of the poo hits the fan. I mean, it always does. Whereas if you buy quality the first time, bite the bullet. And things, and this is why I really work hard at showing quality. We were talking a little bit about Cold Steel earlier on, and I love Cold Steel. Cold Steel is a great company. They keep their knives inexpensive, but they're battle ready. They're tried, true, and tested. I mean, one of my EDC knives is this, my Tylite, and it's basically a pocket sword, but this is a great urban carry. And you can use it like a Kubaton. You can smash with it. You got this little jimping right here, and you like scratch with it and punch with it, hit with it.
You're speaking my love language, Ray. Keep going.
And then this is 13 inches long.
Looks
and
like
so
a
you can
stiletto.
choke up on this puppy. Look at that distance between you and the bad guy. That's a lot of distance. And so, if you have to whip this thing out and start, hacking and slashing and everything, that distance means a lot. It's a lot better than this distance, So, but it's realistic stuff. And a lot of times people get all up into the hype and everything instead of thinking realistically. They watch all these cool guy YouTube videos and, oh man, I need to get this cool gear and I need to get that cool gear and, spend $1 bazillion. Whereas if you would just get something simple, for example, I'm going to get hate mail for this one. High Point 9. It is a cheap gun made in America. It's got a lifetime warranty, $150. And if you don't have a gun at all, go buy a High Point. You don't need the Colt 45 or the 1911 or anything like that. Start low, start small, and then build up to it. Then you can go out and get your Glock and everything like that. But at least the key is to defend your home, defend your castle, and it's just people. I like to teach baby steps. Have people take baby steps. Start with the High Point C9. Yeah, this is the greatest. No, runs out of ammo. Yeah, throw it like a brick.
It is a brick.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, I used to tell people that I worked in a couple of gun shops over the course of several years, and the buy once, cry once thing really does apply to guns where, and we would tell people all the time, look, if you only have $200 in your budget, then yes, buy a High Point. If you only have $400 in your budget, buy a shield. If you have $500-600 in your budget, buy a Glock. You don't. I was thinking about this on the way over to run an errand today. Actually, weirdly enough, not related to this, but just thinking about it, like, you don't have to. I'm mean about guns. I'm very unforgiving when it comes to guns because I've seen and used a ton of them. And I don't fault anybody for having any gun that they can afford, and I'm not a snob about guns. Like, you don't have to have, just like you say, you don't have to have an HK MR556, which costs $5,000. You don't have to have, a Scar 17. You don't have to have an STI Staccato, which is a $3,000 pistol. You don't have to have a Zev Glock 19, which is a $2,000 Gucci Glock. You can like have a $500 Glock 19. Like, I do private armed security, incognito armed security for stuff, and like my go-to gun is a Glock 19 Gen 3, and it cost me like $400, a few years ago. Who cares? Like, it runs. Spend the money on, something that's spend the money on something you can afford, and don't think that you can't afford a gun if you can't afford a Glock, but spend the money on something that's of good quality. Typically, like, I cut out the Tauruses from that line just because it's like, if you don't, unless that's what you have the money for, but like those Taurus pistols, the semi-automatics, it's like, well, for like $50 more, you could probably get a Smith & Wesson M&P series. So it's like, spend the money on, but like, just like what you say, if you only have $150, get a High Point, because it will shoot the bullets, and then you can beat them to death with it if you need to, or build a house with it, because it's like a hammer, So work with what you got.
that's what is realistic prepping, because it's so easy to get wrapped up in the hype and all
Yeah.
the cool guy gear and especially with everything that's going on today. Putin's mouthing off, and we got this, we got that. We got hyperinflation. Inflation. We got, food shortages already coming. A lot of things. So people can get all wrapped up and freaked out and everything, and just start charging up the credit cards and going crazy and everything like that. And I don't, that's not a good thing. Just take baby steps, take a step back, and really evaluate, do your research, and then something else, a great thing to do is get into these prepper groups on Facebook or some of the other social medias and ask questions, because preppers want to help preppers. And it's like I was saying, I would rather create an ally than have an enemy. The more preppers I can help create, the better. There's less people I have to shoot. So
that's right. There's more people shooting next to you than downrange shooting at you. Yeah. Well, and that's the thing too is, I help coordinate classes for a training facility here in Tennessee, and we tell people all the time, and we don't hardly make any money off of it. It's really about network building and communal sort of things. Yeah. But if you have $3,000, okay, you can buy a $3,000 AR and be done. Or you can buy like $1,000 AR and spend, $1,000 to $1,500 on ammo, and then spend the remaining money on, either
food and toilet paper,
or a membership to a range, or a series of courses, so you can actually know how to use this thing. And it's not even that people don't know how to use stuff like guns, because that you can solve with a YouTube, video. It's really about you doing it, because it's a perishable skill. Yep. Like with us, we take people out and we have them move and shoot. And moving and shooting is something you can almost never do at any range ever. You stay in your little pin, your little sheet pin, and you shoot down the thing at the target, and you're just wasting ammo. But it's like, that's not real life. Real life is like, you're moving, you're getting behind cover, you're in awkward situations, so yeah, spending the money on something unsexy, maybe, and uncool and unexciting is like exactly what you need to do.
Yeah, but I think Ray's point too is also having something's better than having nothing.
Oh yeah,
having
absolutely.
anything is better than having nothing.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
and that's realistic prepping.
Yeah. Well, and it was very it was thrown into bold relief and became very evident when, just like we were talking about before, when all of a sudden all the TP ran out and all the hand sanitizer ran out, and all the Lysol spray. And the funny thing is, like, most of those people hadn't used Lysol in like 10 years, and all of a sudden they have to, or hand sanitizer. Like, I never used hand sanitizer, and I still didn't. But like, people were like, "Oh, where's the hand sanitizer?" You have to, if you had a case of hand sanitizer, you could have like sold it for $1,000, back in those days. I'm Mike or Ray. I'm really curious. We did have Mike Fisher comment. Did you say hi to Mike? Okay, cool. Yep.
Hey,
Mike is the owner of Jardani Jovanovic, so he's been like a guardian angel for us in a lot of ways. Ray, I wanted to ask about your prior service. I did not know you were prior service. Could you talk about that?
Yeah, went into the Army and worked at getting in Army infantry. I had a very clear, I didn't join the Army at 18. I joined the Army at 21. And so I did all my research, did all my stuff, and then didn't let the recruiters take advantage of me. I knew exactly what I wanted and when I wanted. I talked to a lot of veterans and all that other stuff, and just really got the square deal and things. So I knew what I wanted, knew what I wanted to do. And that was, jump out of planes, eat snakes, and kill monkeys. So,
you got to kill monkeys?
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
Eat them too.
Yeah. Okay. See, I hate monkeys.
So what is that like? What is that like? The eating of a monkey? Is it comparable to anything?
Very stringy and tough. Yeah. I mean, really chewy, tough. And I'm going to use chicken, but they don't really have a chicken taste either. They got kind of a sweet meats. It's kind of. Oh. You guys got boar up there?
Yeah.
Wild boar. Very, very chewy, tough wild boar. Very stringy. I mean, there's not much to it, but
better than snakes. Better than snakes.
I actually like snake better. Rattler is really good.
I
which
had a
I've eaten a
Marine.
lot of.
Yeah, I bet. I had a Marine counter sniper from the first Gulf War tell me that like snakes were always preferable to lizards because you could never like get the bones out of lizards.
Yeah.
But snakes you could get the meat off pretty easily.
Interesting.
Mhm.
And yeah, and I had another friend who is from South Africa, and he was in the South African military, and he said that they used to just like walk out into the jungle or whatever with shotguns and tarps or ponchos. They would wear ponchos, go out there with shotguns, and they basically go monkey hunting. And the monkeys, and the reason why they wore
Whoa.
the ponchos was because the monkeys would fire back. I'm not joking.
get it.
It's so awesome. Yeah. So you did this. I think this was back in the Reagan era
Yeah.
when you joined Reagan.
Yeah, 84, 88, 82, 88.
Nice. Yeah. Good
Uh,
budget for you guys back then.
Oh yeah, man, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Training was really cool, and it was interesting. One of my old buddies I haven't seen in a long time, but me and him used to talk all the time, and I was about 10 years ahead of him, and so we had something called Tire City out at Bragg, and then all the old guys, I was considered an old guy by then, but all the old guys got to go through Tire City, and what Tire City is a live firing range where you use live ammo and live grenades, and you go through and clear the whole building and all this other stuff. But what was interesting is when he came into group and everything, is like, nah, man, they already turned that one off. Too many people were getting killed and everything like that. So
Really?
yeah. Well, in fact, in one time in Tire City, we were doing an op training, and the grenade went. The guy didn't throw it far enough into the room, and so there's no roofs on Tire City. It's about 8 feet tall of tires, but he chucked it around the corner, but he didn't throw it in the middle of the room, and it blew up right next to the wall. And a bunch of shrapnel came down on top of us, and I remember getting but it was all just hot shrapnel. It didn't, nothing forceful or anything, but we're all digging out pieces of grenade and our shirts and everything like that. And,
yeah, that's just the kind of fun, wholesome activity that you can't get stateside in a civilian world. You really gotta sign on the dotted line for that fun.
We were some of the last actually go through the jungle training down in Panama, School of the Americas, and that was a lot of fun. We jumped in on that, and we had to wear our old jungle fatigues. We were told, wear your worst jungle fatigues. We're jumping in, and then we're trekking this way. We got to cut, And the reason is that we were going through elephant grass, and by the time we got through all of this and everything, our uniform was just cut to pieces.
Really?
And, oh wow! Yeah, and then we got to jump out of a Chinook on that one with no chutes. So those were water jumps.
Yeah.
And if you're the last guy out, you push your boat out, and then the guys start jumping off. There's a whole line of you running out this Chinook. And what happens is, as the weight lessens, the Chinook goes higher. And so if you're like one of those last dudes, man,
yeah, it's a pretty hard drop.
And like 40, 50, 60 feet.
Okay,
Everybody else was jumping 10 feet or so. And you're just running out that Chinook too. So
that's so funny. And that's impressive that a bird that size can get that low, that it can get 10 feet.
Yeah.
A Chinook can get 10 feet off the hard deck.
That's
and then,
cool.
But yeah, I guess it does get lighter, and he probably does. Pilot may or may not compensate for that.
I mean, the thing is we're running off. It's not like you're jump or anything like that. We're just bulleting out that craft. And and so the pilot really can't do much, so it just gets higher and higher and higher. And if you're the last guys, I was the captain's RTO at that time, so I was one of the first guys off, so it was pretty cool.
Oh, nice.
But,
yeah. What was your MOS? What was your designation?
Infantry.
Yeah.
Airborne infantry. Yeah.
Gotcha.
That's what a lot of us are. They started in infantry or medics. A lot of started in medics.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
some people start off in languages, but the majority of us are infantry, And then we usually
And
pick up a second. I picked up a Stinger Gunner as my second, and
Cool.
that was an interesting. That was a lot of fun.
yeah.
That opened up a lot of doors and opportunities and things like that and stuff. So,
And you lived as an expat too?
and then lived as an expat, lived down in Central America, Costa Rica, and Panama, and it was a lot of. I did that during the Obama years, and primary reason is just to get away from the Obama Healthcare Act and the high taxes and all that other junk that I was going to get charged.
Jealous.
And then,
Yeah.
it was an adventure, but it was a
Nice.
lot of fun and things. But if you're thinking about running and expatting, it's just better to stay here.
Really?
Is it really?
It's so much more still going for you. As much as everything is messed up and everything, it's not as messed up as down there, because you will always be the outsider. And if you can't speak Spanish, you're going to be taken advantage. I mean, my Spanish is pretty decent. And so, although I forgot a lot of it, but yeah, I speak Japanese. That's what I learned when I first went in, was Japanese, German, and Spanish. So
Wow, man.
Man, I was thinking every now and then I get a wild hair and I think like maybe I should relocate to the Philippines.
Yeah.
Would you advise against that, Ray?
You have more here. And everybody thinks that the grass is greener there. I mean, Costa Rica, if I had to move somewhere, I'd go back to Costa Rica. I hated Panama, but Costa Rica was beautiful and everything, but it's a 2-tier system, and they really hammered the expats down there. And you're not just talking Americans, you're talking Canadians, Brits, Australians. There's a lot of people who expat to Costa Rica, and the country basically takes advantage of expats and all the money that they bring in and everything. So there's a 2-tier system, and 2 different menus, 2 different electric bills. It's
okay.
It's very socialist. So but yeah.
What if I get down there and marry a Costa Rican girl and have all the stuff in her name? Can you hide?
You can do that, but they're savvy to that, and there's just a lot of hoops to jump through. Costa Rica is a very hard country. Only way that you can really get there is have boatloads of money or truly be a retiree, and having your Social Security basically sent to Costa Rica.
Yeah,
So,
interesting.
Otherwise, just to gain residency, you got to deposit something like $75,000, $80,000 into the bank, and yeah, it's just to even start the visa process.
Yeah,
so that's why I went to Panama, is because I was able to get my visa there and everything like that.
So they don't have just an open border that you can just
walk
they
over?
Don't.
No,
you can't just swim across the river.
The politicians won't bus you in.
No, they don't. There is no welfare. There is no nothing. They find out, and they have checkpoints everywhere. Where's your passport? And if you're not carrying your passport or some copy of it or something like that, and it's out of date, they will hook you up right then and there, and in 48 hours you are on the plane out of there.
Man.
Yeah, and so when I see all this illegal bull crap and these aliens and everything, it's like, you know how hard it is to get into your freaking countries,
right?
It's an act of God in some cases, but and then you're coming over here and everything. Do what I had to do when I lived in your country. So whoops.
Yep. Oh, that's what happens when
your chair dropped down.
Yes.
Don't worry.
That's what happens when our political system weaponizes people as a voting base, because they know, they are truly playing to the name of their political party by just circumnavigating all of the rules and all of the representative aspect of our constitutional republic and just going straight for a numbers game. They're just infusing raw numbers.
Yeah.
And that's partly why they keep that border insolvent. Not only because it justifies, a more militarized police state, because if you let that happen, then you create a Hegelian dialectic where you can then, oh, well, we have all these Fast and Furious issues, with guns, and we have all this trafficking. So, of course, we need more money for our cops and our DEA and our.
Did you hear Pierre, whatever her name is, the press secretary, actually say
Jean-Pierre
that the former administration caused the problem at the border and that the situation is better now because of the current administration?
That's adorable.
Flat out says it. And before anyone can respond, she's like, okay, that's it. We're going to move on to one last question. Like she wouldn't let anyone talk or challenge her.
Like,
come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
That's
They keep telling the lie, knowing that if they tell it enough that you'll believe it.
It's absolutely true.
And,
yeah.
That's all they
I have a
do.
question
Feed the
about
lies, feed the lies. Go ahead.
So when your time as living as an expat down in Central America, did that inform your preparedness?
Oh, I was.
skills,
I mean, I actually sold a lot of my preps just to move down there, and everything. But when I was in Panama, I actually bought into a 65-acre ranch. This was a drug lord place. And it was off the grid completely. It was one of the most highest producing solar panel farms or solar productions in Panama that was privately owned. I got this from some guy. I mean, we had a completely walled compound and sitting on top of a hill. Yep. I mean, if you saw this, and if you saw our place from the little freeway or off the road, that was about a mile away, you look down there. He's a drug lord. I mean, it's big solid steel, plated gate that, you drive in, 8-foot wall, barbed wire. Some places the walls were 25 feet tall, depending on how, the hill was. And yeah, it was, but what was your question again?
When you were down there, did you learn anything different about preparedness, or did that contribute to your current message at all?
Yeah.
Probably the biggest thing that really is down there, you're not allowed to own guns. So I really had to pull out my katanas, and I practice Aikido, or I used to practice Aikido. I don't practice it much anymore. I need to again. But I used to do Aikido. I used to do what's called backyard cutting. And that's where you go out and you take bottles and cut bottles in certain patterns and all that other stuff. So, but I started working with my sword down there more. It took, jumped back into Aikido, and found an Aikido teacher down there where I was living, and took Aikido for a while and got brushed back up on that. I do Filipino stick fighting. I do Wing Chun. That's the thing that Bruce Lee started with. And then behind me is my wooden dummy. You can't see it because I got this covered up here. It's a mess back there. But my wooden dummy is back there.
Yeah.
And
like a Wing Chun dummy?
A Wing Chun. Yeah.
Wing
Chun.
Wing Chun.
Yeah. Wing Chun.
Awesome.
So
cool.
Wing Chun is great for old people too. There's no jumping or anything. It's all physics. It's all, I love Wing Chun,
Very cool. Very cool.
But that got me more into learning non-gun. And in fact, I'm getting ready to re-release the book. It's called Weaponize. And it says when a gun is not the answer. And the whole book is based on all these alternative weapons and getting proficient with them, and even using this.
That's right. Yeah.
So, but that's the biggest thing that Costa Rica and Panama taught me.
Okay,
that's cool. Okay. What did your so you were in the infantry? Did you ever transition to anything like Ranger Battalion or any of the SF units or anything like that? Did you stay in Airborne?
I stayed in Airborne, and at that time we worked very closely with SF. It was Rangers, us, and SF, and we were doing stuff all the time together, and so But no, I didn't do anything. I didn't transition over to, although I was wanting to go to Ranger School. That was one of the things I was trying to sign up for and trying to get a slot for and everything when I was in recruiting and everything, but never got the slot. And then though, what they did do is they asked for volunteers to go over to be a fast reactionary force for Patriot missile.
Oh,
And so a group of us went over to Germany, and this one Patriot missile is brand new, and Patriot missile has a lot of different capabilities, and they didn't want the Germans to be guarding it. They didn't want the freaking MPs to be guarding it or anything, so they created a fast reactionary force over there, and that's what we did. We were a fast reactionary force. Lots of anti-terror training. We would go to terror briefings every 90 days, do all kinds of extracurricular stuff. I got to fly Cobras, I mean, there's all these things that we got to do and everything because at that time, Baader Meinhof, Red Brigade, a number of the other terror groups were very active. In fact, they blew up a bar where a lot of the GIs were hanging out. I was stationed in Hanau, and right outside of Frankfurt, and so they were constantly blowing up GI hangouts and putting bombs underneath cars and everything. I mean, to this day, I still check my car. You'll do a quick walk and everything. But so, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to ask, being part of a QRF, did you get attached to like Cav Scouts? Did you have those guys rolling with you?
No, we were actually attached to the Patriot unit.
Oh,
so
interesting.
We were actually attached to the Patriot unit.
Cool.
So, which, I mean, it was a lot of, at times it sucked, but at times it was a lot of fun because Patriot had all this money to do cool stuff with. And all they wanted to do is play stinking Pong and everything on their radar systems and go set up missiles. And anyway, so, I mean, I've been to Crete like 3 times. I've been to Austria several times. I've like I said, flown helicopters. I've M60 machine gun teams. I mean, all this cool stuff that none of the Patriot, because these guys were freaking rimps. Rear echelon MFs.
Yep.
And so they didn't want to do all this cool stuff. And so they kept throwing it to us. Hey, man, we got these slots for this. You want? Yeah. So we all of us would, So we walked out with a whole bunch of training and a lot of fun. And
so
stuff.
how did that military experience help you? If there were maybe just like 1 or 2 salient things, how did the military sort of help you codify your prepper lifestyle? What did it teach you?
Probably the biggest thing is situation awareness.
Yeah.
I mean, my situation awareness was good, but my situation awareness just became super honed. And I mean, we asked my wife, we go out to restaurants and everything, my back's to the wall. I'm always looking at the door. I've always picked out the multiple exits. I've already trained our daughter and her, if I ever say, get behind me, just do it. Don't ask questions. And, so all kinds of stuff. So my situation awareness is rather high. And I pick people out. I mean, you can always tell the wolves for some reason. I pick them out all the time. They're just shady. And I let them know I'm my eye is on them. And stuff. And so, when you wear kilts, you kind of stand out anyways. But one of my more favorites. I'm getting the longer blade one. And so this kind of just sticks out, so people see this, and then I carry another knife, and then I also have my neck knife. And
cool.
I'm designing a holster to go underneath my kilt so that it's a kind of like a hip carry. And so all I need to do is just reach there, pull it out. And it's amazing how many weapons I can carry on me with my kilt and stuff and things. So,
well, that's a funny, like no one ever, even just standard concealed carrying, most people don't notice that you're carrying something. Even if you have a tight fitting hoodie on, or you just have a shirt bloused over it, most people don't notice. But if you're wearing a kilt, people especially aren't going to notice any irregularities in the silhouette
Mhm.
because A, it's got a plaid print on it, so that's
Mhm.
going to help break up the pattern a little bit. It's like camouflage. And two, most people just don't, know what to look for on a
Mhm.
kilt.
I got a
Like,
question for you regarding situational awareness. What would you
Mm-hmm.
say to, let's say, a mom out with her, and she has her kids with her, and she's out and about doing her daily routine? What are maybe top, one or two things, or two or three things that she could keep in mind to have really good situational awareness?
Look everybody in the eye. I mean, you would be amazed how many people you look them in the eye and you can instantly tell. People are, they won't look at you back and everything. And then the predator will look at you for a little bit and then they go, I'm not going to mess with that person. So, and like I said, they see this kind of sticking out from underneath my belt because I just wear it right here. And, they see that sticking out. And so they just know predators want easy targets. They want soft
Yep.
targets and stuff.
Yep.
But
Yep.
look people in the eye. And in today's society, for some reason, that it's kind of frowned upon, or
it is.
you just don't do it. But
Yeah.
it's like today.
Because you're
And
expected to look at this.
yeah,
You're expected to look at this.
Mhm.
and I mean, I have to admit, I'm kind of an attention whore because I wear my kilt and everything like that.
That's all right.
So a lot
Same.
of people look at me anyways. So it's funny when I put my kilt on, I kind of get this alter ego, outgoing personality and everything. And like we're heading to the grocery store today, and some lady's just looking at me and everything. She's sitting in a nice car, just sitting there parked, just staring at me. And I go, hey, how are you doing? I love your car. She was driving like a little MR5 or something like that.
Yeah.
And she goes, yeah, I love your kilt and everything. So I've just learned to be very outward and very, approach them before they, approach me. And you just become a hard target. Predators don't want that. They don't,
Yeah.
So
Would that change in a SHTF situation?
no, not really. Because
Yeah.
the cowards, again, predators are cowards.
Yeah.
And so the cowards are always gonna. Now, I'm not talking hardened gangs, but your average everyday, criminal, wanting to rob a house just to get some food is doing it because his family's hungry, and you know, they don't want to die for a stinking can of tuna. So
Mhm.
but it's the hardened gangs. And my best advice for that is just try to get out of those areas. I mean, everybody has gangs and everything, but I think honestly, like I know where I live, if SHTF happened, there's a lot of citizens here that would become the police and militia, and we wouldn't put up with crap.
Good
Where
support network.
where I live, we don't put up with crap anyways. I mean, our cops here are very hard, and
Yeah.
we live outside of Roanoke, and so Roanoke does have a little bit of a crime problem. Sometimes that crime problem comes in, and our police chief says, "Don't bring that crap here. I will just spank your butt and throw you in jail." I mean, he's just they're very bold. And
Yeah,
Cool.
good.
Cool.
Well, that's the thing that, Nick made a good point that like everybody is looking at these things these days. And this has taken probably what was a statistical average of introverts and multiplied that by an order of magnitude to where now not only are there more natural introverts out there, but there are more manufactured introverts who are socially awkward and very reclusive because this is a lot easier to do than looking somebody in the eye, and it atrophies people's situational awareness.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how many women walk around, guys do it too, but I've seen a lot of girls do this with the earbuds, the ear pods, in their ears, just like talking on the phone or listening to music, moving through transitional spaces. I'm just like, take those things out of your ears, like, you like pay attention to it, but they don't, and yeah, it becomes it becomes a real skill that you kind of have to focus on developing, where you actually,
Mhm.
when you walk into an area, you look around, somebody catches your eye, you look them in the eye for at least a couple seconds
Mhm.
to let them know that, like, hey, I see you.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
Yeah.
and it's something you have to kind of force yourself to do.
You do.
You know, it's not a
Yeah.
natural thing.
I got another question. Actually, Mike made a great comment. He says alarms, dogs, and no trespassing signs as a deterrent that basically keeps your home from being an easy target, and someone will move on.
Yeah.
Mhm.
What are some other basic things people maybe nobody's ever tried to harden their home, you know, and they see a poop hitting the fan situation coming towards them. What are some other things they can home?
If it's a total SHTF situation, they're already too late. But best thing to do is put up the no trespassing signs. Have dog. I mean, we got 3 dogs, and you know, do some of those things. If you can find some concertina wire or some sort of stuff like that. Other things you can do is possibly, if like we have a very long driveway, we live in the woods and things, so booby traps, early warning devices. There's these little window alarms, and doggone it, can I disappear for like 3 seconds?
Yeah, go for it.
Sure. Yeah.
Go for it. I think I know what he's talking about.
Really?
It's like a little 2-piece thing.
Shoots a laser out over
Well,
your
yeah,
window?
I mean, you put one on the sliding window part, one on the seal, and when they
Oh, there it
separate,
is.
it's just like makes this loud,
These things are
like
great.
the worst Halloween noise-making device you've ever heard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they and you, what you can do, I mean, they're like $5. And what's great is you can screw a screw right there, and so that you now have a pivot point. Otherwise, this goes on one side of the door and this goes on the other side of the door. And when the magnets break, that's when they make the sound. But the magnets are up here. So if you put a screw right here, it'll pivot down. And then what you can do is create tripwires and stuff. So that all it does is just pull this part down and your alarms go off.
Oh,
So,
that's a great
I mean,
idea.
I've got a bunch of these on hand just for, you know, giggles. So
That's awesome. That's
but
really you get those like at Home Depot, right? I mean, you
yeah,
can get
these
those
are cheap. Like I said, they're
Yeah.
$5.
Yeah, awesome.
But doing things like that, hardening your another thing that, and I wrote about this multiple times. I haven't, because this is a brand new house. We're still getting this up to par, but motion sensor lights are a
Yes.
great deterrent. And then also something that is good is to look at doing what's called window film, and they make an 8mm, 7mm, basically bulletproof. I mean, it'll basically stop a 22 or a bird shot out of a shotgun. But the biggest thing is if anybody's trying to break through your window, it's going to take them, 5 or 6, 7 hits just to try to break through this thick, see-through, clear plastic mill. And by that time, at least you're awake, you've got your gun, then you can protect your home. The whole thing with hardening your security is it's giving you time to weapon up and do what you need to do. Yep. And because anybody who really wants to break into your house is going to break into it. The thing is you just want to make it harder and harder and harder. So having these things in areas where you maybe got tripwires or driveway alarms. There's this company, Amaco or Mako, or great driveway alarms, and those are great sensors that you can just place all over the place. It's kind of a pricey system. I want to say 4 of them or something like $150 and or something, but they've got some great ratings. But I'm getting those, and so I've done my research, and so these are driveway alarms that but the great thing is you can put them all over the place, and you have early warning, and then you can chain them together. You can have multiple sensors, and I mean it's a great system. I love it.
I really appreciate it. I mean, these are all like really excellent, like practical things for someone who lives like in the suburbs.
Yeah.
And that's always, and which I really, really appreciate because I live in the suburbs.
Me too.
I don't live in a rural area.
Yeah.
I can't say that very well.
Rural. Yeah.
One of the words I can't say.
Yeah.
But I don't have chickens. I don't have goats. I don't have 5 acres. And I don't live in the city. I don't live in an urban environment.
And most of our
I'm
audience
in
is like
between.
this. Yeah.
And when I go and I look at anything online about prepping, you can't find anything for someone who lives in the suburbs. There's like no information.
it's
And I'm
either-
like, am I supposed to move?
It's either urban gardening or it's 5 acres and a mule out in the middle of the
That's
county.
it.
Yeah, the
There's
outskirts.
very little for like the suburban
prepper.
prepper, and there are
And that's
millions
kind of
people.
yeah, it's kind of my target audience. Soccer moms
awesome.
and dads,
Yeah.
because they're waking up right now to the fact that crap is hitting the fan.
Mhm.
Things are getting worse. What do I need to do to protect my wife and kids?
Yeah.
And so that's basically like the suburbanite and things. I mean, if you're living in the inner city and everything, buy all the food you can and everything,
Yeah.
and then bar yourself in.
Yep. Yeah. Barricade yourself in.
Barricade yourself in, and that's basically all that you can do.
But that's the thing that the past couple years have really woken a lot of people up to is once we were seeing the cities burn, once we were seeing all the riots, once we saw, the husband and wife in St. Louis,
Yeah.
I mean, it really kind of hammered home this idea that no matter which group is, and I can list 3 off the top of my head that it would be, just because you're in a nice, safe, stable, quiet suburban environment doesn't mean you are safe when things go bad.
Right.
And it doesn't mean that the sheriff's deputies or the cops are going to be able to get there in time, and it used to be that, people who tried to rob your house during the day just wanted your stuff. They weren't looking for violence because they thought you'd be at work. And then people who came at night probably were prepared to do violence because you are more than likely at home in bed, but nowadays with so many people working from home, that metric has kind of gone out the window, after a lockdown and everybody relocates and starts working from home. Now, if somebody tries to rob you during the day, there's no longer that metric of, if I just rack the pump on the shotgun, it'll probably scare them off. It's like, no, they probably know you're home and they probably don't care.
Probably know. Yeah.
Yeah. And so like the threat of violence has gone up exponentially over
People's awareness of that threat has gone up too.
Yeah. And Ray, what about reinforcing your doors with longer screws?
Longer screws. Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of things you can do. Longer screws. Get buddy bars. Buddy bars are what go up underneath the
Mhm.
door handle. You see in the kick bars, buddy bars.
Oh yeah.
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 I call them buddy bars,
Oh, I
but
forgot
you
about those,
you stick them underneath and you kick them, and it creates a jam.
Yeah.
I have this my wife bought me this great little door jam that for me, so when I go traveling and speaking at conferences and stuff, I can kick it underneath my hotel. But you put it under your hotel door, screw it up, and it just locks in place. So there's no way to get in. Deadbolts are really good. I mean, and again, what you want to do is do the long screws with the deadbolts. I'm a big fan, and this may be hard, if you've got kids, but the thing is, you got to train your kids.
Mhm.
I love having pepper spray all over. Or pepper gel actually is
Mhm.
what I recommend. Because with pepper spray, you have a chance of it blowing back at you, where pepper gel sticks.
Yeah.
And then just having multiple weapons. I mean, my God, I got freaking swords everywhere.
I love that, man.
And the nice thing about swords, they won't blow out your hearing when you use it.
No.
Yeah.
But I mean,
They might take his ear off.
I love my
Full of
swords.
Peter.
I've got these hidden all over the house.
Yeah.
Here's another one of my favorites. This is the Cold Steel Gladius.
Oh,
This
Gladius.
is
See, that's
a
the Gladius.
great
Yep.
home defense sword.
Yep.
I mean, all these that I've been showing you are great home defense swords.
Well, and it's so funny too, because the Gladius is one of those swords, and you probably familiar with this, that was developed sort of as an evolution from the Spartan phalanx, with the Xiphus short sword, which was a glorified dagger, and then the Romans kind of perfected with the Gladius. But it still was the same concept of walking up with your shield wall and just sort of threshing at the enemy. So it comes in handy to have either a Xiphus style or a Gladius style short sword in the home, because you have hallways, you have confined spaces, which weirdly enough kind of replicates what it would like being in a cohort or a phalanx. Yeah. And
thing
dude,
is,
Cold Steel's not expensive.
Yeah, you got ceilings, you got hallways and everything. This you can sharpen up really nicely. It's got a very, very sharp point. And I want to say this is only about $40 on eBay. And you know, yeah. It's got this reinforced pommel, so you can just smack the crap out of somebody.
Nice.
And if you can play tennis, you can swing a sword. And there's just article after article of guys protecting their homes. You know, look up man defends his home with katana, and it's one down in Central America or Mexico or something. And these 4 burglars raided his home and everything, and he just chopped these guys to pieces. And the cops caught him because they were bleeding out and ran into a telephone pole about a quarter of a mile from his house.
So they got chopped up and then jumped in their car and drove off.
Yeah, they jumped in the car and drove because they were just cut to shreds. They were, you know, but they got pictures and they're pretty gruesome. But it'll let you see what a katana will do.
Was he using it correctly? Was he using it like with the?
I have no idea. I think that he was just hacking and slashing,
whacking away.
Yeah, whack away. I mean, this is a stinking 3-foot razor blade, you know. Yeah. So, you know.
And by the way, katanas really do work. Like, they can be high maintenance. They can be a little finicky with how you're supposed to use them. But I'll tell you, like, about 18 years ago, I was hanging out with a friend and we had a couple beers and he had one of those bamboo katanas on the wall, where there's no suba. It's just like 3 sections of bamboo and the blade is hidden in between. And I picked it up thinking that the blade was on the left-hand side, but it was on the right-hand side and it fell out. And again, do not mix booze and swords, kids. Just gonna tell you right now, because I got 2 scars right here that are perfect proof of that, and I went to catch it instinctively, and because there was no suba, no handguard, it just slipped right through and did exactly what a katana is supposed to do, from the base of the blade to the tip. I mean, from your Iaido
3-foot freaking razor blade.
It's a razor blade, and it opened me right up, baby. I was a bloody mess.
But it's a great weapon. It's a great home. And in fact, what I do tell people is if you're looking at wakizashi, I have high ceilings. So, and I got big halls. So I've got kind of room. But this is called the Black Ronin. And you buy this, I want to say it was like $20 or $30. Really? And it's on Amazon. Okay. And great blade. But I mean, you can do 2 hands. I mean, great spine. Look at that spine. It's not some cheap spine. I mean, you can't. It's not bending. But this is a great wakizashi. I kind of flicked myself there. But
see,
this is a great wakizashi sort of style. Yeah. And then if people really don't have the money to do a machete. I mean, my God, down in Central America, everybody carries freaking machetes, and that is the home defense weapon of choice down there. And you can do a lot of damage with a machete. So, but I love my swords because, again, sometimes guns are not the answer. And so you need to kind of think things through. And then with today's laws, you shoot some guy, for God's sake, and they take you to court, or their family takes you to court. Whereas using a sword is seen more as self-defense versus using a gun. And in fact, I was just reading an article that in one of my short sword video, a college student defended his home with a sword and was basically picked up, taken downtown, okay, blah, 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 released. And then all charges dismissed. But he killed the guy.
Nice.
And things, because the sword is seen as a self-defense weapon. Where a gun, you run the chances of shooting the guy in the back or so forth.
Or a stray bullet goes out.
Yeah. So,
and then when you're in the suburbs, that's
a serious concern depending on the caliber and your walls.
Yeah. Your neighbor is a big concern. And it's really, I mean, so kind of like Game of Thrones preparedness,
gladiator preparedness.
But
don't let Commodus kill your wife and kid.
Right, you're talking about a scenario where they're coming onto your property, into your home,
Yeah.
and you're defending yourself.
Yeah.
And doing it in a way that's not going to put your name.
Well,
Call it the
here's
Thermopylae defense.
something. I mean, I'll do a package reveal here.
Oh, nice.
Game of Thrones.
King of Home.
Yeah.
But I just got this yesterday, and I'm so excited about this.
What is it?
But this is what it is a chest rig.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I've been wanting one of these forever, and so finally,
Oh, nice.
I broke down and got one. But it holds the Glock,
Uh-huh.
and easy to put on once you get the straps adjusted and everything. But I was telling my wife, one of the reasons I wanted this is when crap hits the fan, I'm going to be carrying it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And since I'm sitting in my chair, a side holster and everything is just not practical a lot of times. So,
Mm-hmm.
but this is, a chest rig.
Yeah,
Yeah,
neither
It's
shoulder
made
holster
by,
can be a detriment too.
What, Gunfighters Inc.
Oh yeah.
So
Uh-huh.
great company, great
Yeah.
great product. It ran $150, but hey, you pay for great quality.
Yeah.
But fully adjustable, it moves, it cants, it does all kinds. So you can totally adjust it to where you are and where you're going to carry, and you can put it down here, raise it up there, and I like chest carries anyways, or chest rigs.
Chest rigs are great because they cut down on your silhouette. So you and you don't have to worry about something happening. Like I was always self-conscious. I had some nice shoulder rigs. I had a Galco Miami Classic, and I had also a Bianchi. And the Bianchi was nice because it pointed the gun down, but you had to be real careful about what kind you were carrying and whatever. I didn't like the Miami Classic a whole lot because it had the muzzle pointed behind you. And it's fine, but you just get paranoid about it. But a chest rig keeps the muzzle pointed in a safe direction. It cuts down on your silhouette, so you're not bulky or weirdly out of place, and you're not bumping into things like if you had it strong side on your hip. And you can sit down with it, which is tough if you're appendix carrying. Like I used to appendix carry all the time, and I was like 30 pounds lighter, and those days are long gone.
Yeah.
That thing digs in when you're at a movie. And even if you try to carry like small at the back, or like at the 4 o'clock position, that holster, depending on what kind you have, can walk its way out. So like, especially in an area where you're not worried about concealing, a chest rig can be exactly what you need. And I bet you that either has a function as a multi-fit holster, or you can buy different shells depending on whatever brand of gun, whether it's an M&P or CZ. Or,
it comes. Yeah, this is a Glock 19. So but the way, we were trained. So I was trained to, am I wearing this back? Is this? No, it's not. That's right.
Yeah.
So, but you're I can't do it, but you're trained to walk around. This is how I tend to walk around when I'm
relock.
So I'm ready for it, easy access, all that stuff. And since it's right here, it's easy to get in, get out, and everything. So, but I'm liking this chest rig, and I'm
very
excited to put it together and really put it to use and start training, and so
we're honored to debut on the Gosslings.
Yeah, this is awesome.
That's cool. Mike had some good comments too about Michael Fisher says that baseball bats and almost all of your kitchen utensils and flatware work as well if you can't afford to go buy something right away.
Yep.
Yeah,
the long mag flashlight
and the mag light.
Yep.
Yeah, dude, there are a lot of cops up until body cams who wore out a lot of drunks who were not complying with those mag lights, man. Those 3D cell mag lights. Yeah. And you know what? Those work a lot better than an ASP. Like I knew so many cops who you have to use the ASP just right. You have to like hit the tip, because if you hit it on the telescoping shaft, I knew tons of cops who would just like bend the crap out of their ASP, wailing on somebody with that thing. The ASP is the telescoping baton. Yeah. And they, maybe they weren't using it right. I don't know, whatever. I wasn't there, but they said they would just break those things and bend those things all the time. But a D-cell mag light, yeah. you can accomplish
Got
a
some weight.
lot. Yeah, with one of those. That's the rod of God. You know,
The rod of God.
So,
Hey, Ray, I've got a question for you. What is the worst prepping advice that you've ever heard someone give?
Worst prepping advice.
or at least some really bad advice that you hear all the time.
Yeah,
that's
really
just like
bad
a
advice that just,
thorn
you're
in your
like-
side.
Your eyes roll.
Okay,
and you're like, "That's
this one's
stupid."
going to probably upset a lot of people and everything because they're probably spent $1 bazillion on it already. Go out and buy MREs. You know,
Yeah. Okay.
MREs are I give a talk when in fact I'm speaking in Knoxville. So anybody who's at the end of the month of October, 29 and 30, I forget the name of the show, Survival or Self-Reliance Expo.
Okay.
And I'm going to be speaking at that Self-Reliance Expo. It's going to be taking place in Knoxville, Tennessee on 29th and 30th.
That's only a
But
few hours.
I give a talk called Food, Water, Medicine. And one of the things I do is I talk about how the MRE is probably one of the worst things that you can get. I mean, you're going to spend a boatload of money, and unless you keep them at something like 40 degrees all the time, they're going to rot. I mean, they're going to lose their nutritional value. And so a lot of the MREs that people are buying right now, oh, I got all these Army MREs. Well, they're past due. They've probably been sitting out in the heat all the time. All their nutritional value is gone. And so if you want to survive off of these things, it's basically going to starve to death. It's rabbit starvation because you're filling your tummy, but the nutritional value has just been out the window.
Yeah.
And then also, if it ever does get any heat, and I show like applesauce, here it is at 40 degrees, here it is at 90 degrees, and it's like this dark brown tar. The cheese spread, here it is at 40 degrees, here it is at 90 degrees, and it's just like this brown bleh. So a lot of people thinking like, oh wow, MRE is the greatest thing in the world and everything. And then the second advice, and I hear this a lot too, is go out and get Mountain House. Mountain House is camping food.
Oh yeah, the pouches and
all this everything. Camping food is completely different than survival food. This is survival food right here.
Yeah.
Add water, eat. Where Mountain House and camping food and everything, it's all freeze-dried stuff and everything, but it's process intensive. Okay, open packet A, pour into water, let cook for 10 minutes. Then open packet B, put that in, stir, and then it's too
labor intensive.
Labor intensive. Yeah. Whereas real survival food is add water, eat. And
that's good advice. Great advice.
And so stay away from camping food, Mountain House. And then also stay away from freaking MREs. That's probably one of the biggest mistakes I see so many people doing is buying MREs and buying Mountain House.
Yeah, at that second gun shop I worked at, we had cases of MREs that would be given to us or, sold to us at dirt cheap prices, and people would come in and buy it. And I always wondered about that. Like, where's it been? How long has it been sitting there? What's its temperature regulation? And at the end of the day, if you pop one of these pouches and eat it, I mean, first of all, like,
isn't that what My Patriot Supply is?
My Patriot Supply, I think, is supposed to be higher tier than that. I mean, it's I don't know. Ray, you're the expert here. My Patriot Supply.
I honestly can't talk about. I've never tried them.
Okay,
but I have not heard good things about them.
Really?
And then anything you get in these white buckets. Here's tip number 3. Anything you get in these white buckets that says, "Oh, here's a 30-day supply of food for a family of 4," in one 5-gallon bucket. I mean, the calories that you're getting are bare basic minimums. You maybe only be getting about 900 to maybe 1,200 calories for the whole day. Wow. And if it's in a real survival situation, you're going to burn through that like crazy. And then you're just always going to be hungry. And then I've also heard that my Patriot stuff, does not taste good. I'm not a fan of Wise. I'm not a fan of Provident Pantry. And in fact, Provident Pantry supplies a lot of these companies these foods. And Provident Pantry has been around forever. But their food is sawdust and salty and horrible tasting and everything. But Wise buys from them. I wouldn't doubt it that this Patriot Supply probably buys from them.
Interesting.
And they're a gigantic resupplier of a lot of these survival foods. And the biggest thing is if it's coming in a white bucket or one of these 5-gallon handled buckets, odds are is you're probably getting, nasty. The only two survival foods that I stand by is Augustin
Get in a
Farms.
bucket.
Yeah, Augustin Farms and Thrive. Those are the only two. And in fact, if you go to my website, RaymondMhor.com, MHOR.com, I have actually an Augustin Farms watch list. And best place to buy Augustin Farms is on Amazon. They are always having incredible sales on Augustin Farms. And I've set up a page so that the things just automatically pop into the page and whatever's on sale. I mean, they are having like 65% off on stuff and things. Augustin Farms also makes some of the best milk, and you can buy like a gallon or a number 10 can of milk for like $16. Potato shreds right now, I just saw today, potato shreds are sitting around $7 for number 10 can. I mean, the prices are insane. But Augustin Farms, I know Mark Augustin, and Augustin Farms puts out quality food.
Cool. How do I spell it, Ray?
AUGASON '(S) Farms, Augustin Farms. But Thrive and Augustin Farms are the two best foods out there. And this is like tip number 4 is don't buy crappy food. Don't go out and buy a bunch of, a lot of people, I got rice and beans and lentils, I'm set for the apocalypse. No, you're not. And I mean, this is part of realistic prepping. These people go out and buy all this cool guy gear, spend $1 bazillion on all these stupid weapons and everything like that. And then they buy the cheapest food that they can find. And it's like, dude, switch it. You need to buy the best, most expensive, but tastiest food. And then, build up to your weapons and stuff. People go out and buy some of the cheapest, crappiest food out there. And then they wonder why it tastes like sawdust or salt or cardboard.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, if you're eating really crappy tasting food, if the zombies don't get you, you'll eat a pill and you'll want the apocalypse to take you down because you have nothing to look forward to. Like, have some Tabasco on hand.
Food is a motivator, and this is something people don't understand. It motivates you. If you're out there in the field doing hard work and everything like that, and you got only thing to come home to is rice, beans, and lentils, then you're going to get sick and tired. I mean, eventually, what'll happen called food fatigue will set in.
Really,
and food fatigue is actually deadly. Food fatigue will kill kids and kill seniors. And what it is you keep eating the same stuff over and over and over again. I mean, you see these little kids in Africa with the big bellies, and they all have food fatigue. And they would almost rather die than eat this same UN sponsored crap that they've been served, for years. And but it'll kill seniors and it'll kill children, but also it causes people our age and everything to basically lose our motivation, our will to live. And so one of the most important things is you want to have good food. That's something that you can look forward to. So that you can have something positive in your life at that time. And while the rest of the world is going to hell in a handbasket, at least you're getting a good meal of raspberries or whatever, And I'm
I have that in my life now, actually.
But you get the idea. Don't go cheap on your food. Buy the best you can. And I really strongly suggest Augustin Farms. And then great thing about Thrive is that you can come on as a consultant and earn free food and make money at the same time. Really? So Thrive is a little expensive, but they're the only ones who do it too. They have what's called the Q program. And what you can do is you go and you create a wish list, say, I want to only spend $50 a month. And then I want it to make sure it ships on the 15th or hit my credit card on the 16th, since I pay my bill on the 15th. And so you can do that, set it up and ship it out. And then once you create your wish list, all it does is just fire and forget. They just keep sending you food. Allocate your money. They'll send you so much. And every month you got food showing up on your on your doorstep. It's a great way to prep and not even really think about it.
That's
So
awesome.
thrivelife.com/Gano, thrivelife.com/Gano.
Yes, love it. Is that probably one of the top 3 things that you would recommend for a suburban prepper as someone who,
Food.
Yeah.
Food.
Yeah.
Especially with what we're coming into right now. And this is one of the reasons why I've got such a passion. That is, the inflation is killing us. But what people don't realize is that, what is today's date? Yeah. By the end of the month, the global reserves of fertilizer will have been depleted.
Yep.
And with Russia and Ukraine basically going at it and everything, 40% of the raw materials for fertilizer come out of Russia, Ukraine, and the Belarus.
Mhm.
And so all this is taking place. Fertilizer is not being made and hasn't been made. And fertilizer is just not throw a bunch of chemicals there and throw it out in the ground. Fertilizer takes at least a year to 3 years to be made. It's a time-consuming process, takes a lot of natural gas or heat to create and everything. And so since we are running out of these raw materials, and we've also getting close to depleting the current source, the fertilizer is just not going to be around. And so countries that, like India is also a producer, Brazil is also a producer. India is keeping all their fertilizer. They're not releasing it. Brazil is now out of fertilizer too. But yeah, India just came out just recently, and the whole reason, in fact, India just released also that they are no longer exporting rice because their rice prices are going to start going up through the roof. That was just a couple days ago. They're not going to be, or the tariffs to export rice are going to be outrageous. So they're basically keeping all the rice at home because they see a global famine coming down the pipe.
Yeah, and that probably is the kind of thing that could have been avoided if the previous administration had stayed in office, because the previous administration was really courting India pretty hard. But
so
here we
are.
But
I've got a very big concern about the food issue. And this winter, I mean, I track a lot of, it says winter is going to be, kind of, but being in the Appalachian Mountains, I listen to a lot of Appalachian folklore. And so persimmon seeds are saying that we're going to have a very harsh winter. We also here in this area, we've been getting a lot of black walnuts and a lot of acorns. And then usually these are a sign of a harsh winter coming as well, at least for the Appalachian area. It's an Appalachian folklore stuff. But look up seed. In fact, you can go to Appalachian Homestead by Patera. She has a couple of videos where she does persimmon seed readings, and she'll pick a persimmon, split it, and in it will have either a fork, knife, or a spoon. And it's just, I don't know why, it just does. But a fork means that you're going to be eating well during the winter. It's going to be okay. A knife means that you're going to have high winds and it's going to cut like a knife. A spoon means that you're going to be shoveling snow. And all the seeds, everybody's been doing persimmon seed readings around here. So it's going to be a very harsh winter. And so winter this year is going to be very bad. And then seed production also has dropped quite a bit. And so you got seed and fertilizer. That means crops are going to be very small. And that means less food. And so people need to be buying as much food as they can right now while it's still available on the shelves at a reasonable price, and stock up, because next year is going to be really bad. And we're going to get to the point where it's have and have not. We're already hitting that already, but it's going to get a heck of a lot worse.
Yeah.
So,
what else aside from just the food situation? Because you're right, and I've read these reports. I think I may have even read them on your website, because you write so many great articles about there's the fertilizer issue, which is going to cause the seed issue, which is going to cause the lack of crops issue. It's a domino. But aside from that, what else do you perceive as coming down the pipe here in the near future?
The case of haves and have-nots. Will America ever run out of food? No. I think there will always be food on the shelves. The problem is I think that people are going to be priced out of the food market. And so to actually eat good, healthy food, people are not going to afford it. So they're going to live off top ramen and mac and cheese. And so people because again, our buying power is being eroded right now. And again, they're continuing to say that hyperinflation or the inflation is going to continue to go into 2023. So our buying power is going to get even worse. When you couple that with the lack of food and all these other things, I mean, it's going to get astronomical. So people are literally going to be priced out of the grocery store. And so because of that, we're going to start seeing a lot more crime. And people are, I mean, a man will do anything to feed his family. So things are going to get crazy. And so it is, and this is real SHTF sort of situations. And, you know, unless the government does something to, you know, soup kitchens right now, I mean, I know you're seeing reports and stuff. Soup kitchens are running out of food. You know, these pantries are running out of food because they're having more demand and not enough food coming in. And it's just because the food isn't there, you know. So it's really bad. But again, next winter 2023 is going to be horrendous. You think this time right now is bad. And I'm not the only one saying this too. There's a lot of people out there. And then, I mean, you can go to the ag department, you can go to the farm bureau and you can read all the stuff there. I mean, these guys are just telling you right there, you know, folks, we are not going to be producing food next year. And so if they're not producing it, then how are people going to eat? And so I really encourage people to really start, get a garden going, tear out that freaking backyard grass and plant a serious garden, because you and your family's lives are going to depend on it. And then 2, get your hunting and fishing license, learn to start being self-sufficient that way. And then 3, learn to forage. I mean, it is there, you know, foraging. You know, if you're new to foraging, this is Samuel Thayer. He is like the best guy. Samuel Thayer.
Incredible. What is it?
Wild Edibles.
Wild Edibles.
Yep.
Yeah. He's got several books, but he's probably the best forager, you know, author on foraging and everything out there. I've got several of his books. I love his books. I mean, a lot of the stuff I kind of know already, but his stuff just goes into so much more detail. But, you know, garden, hunt, fish, and forage. Learn these things now, because that's what happened when we were raising up. I mean, when I was growing up, our family was going through, you know, financial hardship and stuff. And so at that time, you can dig out of dumpsters and get good stuff, or the butchers would save you things. So my mom made friends with the butchers, and they knew us and everything. And so, but I mean, there'd be times we'd pull over to the side. Ooh, blackberries. Pull over. We'd sit there and pull, or mustard greens. Pull over. I mean, my mom was picking out stuff. You know, dandelions. So we go out to, like, you know, city parks and pick up all the. I mean, we did all that stuff, you know. Pick up walnuts. I hate black walnuts, and I hate walnuts to this day because I used to eat so many, and we were forced to eat walnuts. But a lot of the wild edibles out there, there's so much out there that you can eat that people just don't know. And it's just learning how to prepare it, practice how to prepare it. And I think, you know, by doing this, by augmenting your food, by having an arc to go to and everything, you are going to be able to save money in the long run and use that money for other stuff that you're going to need down the road, versus, you know, paying top dollar for rice, beans, and whatever else that you're going to be buying. But you know, looking in my crystal ball, that's what I see. I hate to use the word fearful, but I am deeply concerned about where this nation is going to go, and I pray to God that the election does something to maybe slow it down. Is it going to happen? Yes, it's going to happen, but maybe with the election, it would get slowed down. You know,
well, it's globalist versus nationalist, you know, and it is not a popular thing to be a nationalist in DC. It's one of the strongest ironies of our failing nation state. You know, that you are incentivized and blackmailed, depending on which island you may or may not have been to be a part of the globalist system. You know? And one last thing that I wanted to ask you specifically about this, in regards to, you know, food and prepping and everything. Mike Fisher had asked, or he had mentioned iodine. So I wanted to ask you about water treatment and water preservation in
good
a
question.
suburban environment, because Nick and I both have steps that we have taken towards that. But
Just a couple.
and most people will have like maybe a Berkey water filter, or a Brita filter, or life straws, if they
Yeah.
think they're really weird. But like, what are some recommendations for the suburban
I
homeowner?
totally agree with you with Berkey.
Okay.
And then also, uh, as a backup, we have this, I forget who the company is, but they're using Dalton filters. The Dalton filters come over from England, and these are porcelain. And the great thing about Daltons versus Berkeys is Daltons, you can wash and clean and reuse. Where the Berkeys, the black Berkeys, are somewhat porous and everything. Now, what you do is you take a potato scraper and you can scrape it off and clean it that way. But Daltons are a little costly, but they are truly reusable because it's a porcelain, and then they have a bunch of other stuff that they got in their filters and stuff. But all you really need then is the housing, and stock up on some of these Dalton filters, and you basically have the same 99.99% that Berkey offers and stuff. In fact, Berkey used to have Daltons in it until they developed their own filter and stuff like that way back when. So
yeah, that was the only kind of Achilles heel with Berkey is those filters. I think you have to replace them after 10,000 gallons or something like that, and which is a lot. But eventually, especially if you're using it as your primary source, like, yeah, you're gonna hit that point, And Berkey stuff, I mean, even 2 or 3 years ago, it was $250 to $350 for a decent sized one. And then what do you do if at some point, if a facility gets hit? Because there have actually been stories that I've seen over the past 6 months where some water treatment facilities have either been hit, or there were reports that they were trying to hit them, or there was like a scam where they said they were hit, and it did hiccup the supply for a while. So like, if you're in a suburb, if you lose your ability to have plumbing, is there any sort of stopgap that you recommend for that?
Yeah. Can I run? Let me run here real quick.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
This is great, man.
this
This is going to be an interview you can go back and watch several times
and take notes
and just keep adding things to your list. Take notes. I mean, talk about a checklist.
Yeah.
Man, this is fantastic.
All right. First of all, I hate life straws. I think who is it? Who was in the Bible that had the 300 men? And
Caleb.
Caleb. And he said, how do you choose your men? Well, the men who drink, get on their bellies, ditch them. The guys who will bring the water up to them and be on their knee or whatever, those are your guys. And you got 300 of those. Life straws force you to get on your belly, and I hate them. Situational awareness goes completely out the window. But Sport Berkey, Berkey makes a sport bottle.
Oh, cool.
These things rock. They are about $45-50 a bottle. They will filter 100 gallons of filthy water, and then about 400 gallons, 500 gallons of tap. So, so for dirty water, get it out of the back of your toilet, out of your tub, whatever like that. But you can take this down to the creek and fill it up, drink it, prime it, drink it. I did a video a long time ago that you can probably find it. And I'm sitting by this kiddie pool that we used to have, and it was all algaed out. The dogs used to drink out of it. The chickens used to get in it. I mean, it was filthy.
A mosquito farm.
Yeah. And so I took my Sport Berkey bottle, did it, primed it, and started drinking. And so I am a big fan of the Sport Berkey bottle. And you can buy extra filters too for about $20. But it acts as a canteen, so you can take your water with you. And it's a typical bike bottle, or I don't know how much it holds.
Man, that's cool.
22 ounces. So it'll hold water, but you can basically get water from anywhere. And it's the Berkey technology, so 99.999%. So chlorine, if you run across a pool, chlorine gets chlorine out. You run across a creek, all the viruses and microbes and all the other crap that animal urine and everything like that. gets passed through. But I am a big fan of the Sport Berkey bottle.
Cool.
And yeah, this is, and I've got, we've got a bunch of these just for us. So
That's awesome.
What about
two is one rule.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Two is, I say the same thing about guns, right?
Yeah.
What's real quick? What are your thoughts on water storage, like 50-gallon drums or those blue containers?
50-gallon.
Walmart?
Yeah, I mean, just anything that you can keep water in.
Yeah.
I've got, in fact, I'm really thinking about buying more of them. But there's these dog pools. They fold up. They're really nice. They're super strong. And we bought our daughter one for this last year, and it took a beating. It's still in great shape. I mean, it's got some algae on it and everything, but the dogs were in it. She was in it. I mean, it grew an experiment in it. I mean, all kinds of stuff. But it's this super thick plastic. It's meant to be abused and everything.
Yeah.
But I'm really thinking about getting several of those because it holds about 90 gallons of water, if not more.
Cool.
And just, because if you got one of these, it doesn't matter where your water source comes from. So 50-gallon drums. Another great thing is if anything's happened, it's called the bath bomb, or what it is it's the liner that gets thrown into your bathtub. So if crap is coming down the pipe really fast, grab it, throw it in your bathtub. It sticks onto your thing, and you get about 50 gallons of water in your bathtub, and it's self-contained. Comes with a primer and everything, so you can pull the water out and everything. But water bobs. But again, if you have this, it doesn't matter where you're storing your water. Because this will filter it all, or your Berkey will filter it all, or if you're using the Dalton filters and everything, you can get two 5-gallon buckets, drill the proper holes and everything, get a bunch of Dalton filters, and make your own Berkey system. Mm-hmm. So and if you really want to go out and buy the Berkey filters, they're like $175 each. They're ridiculous, but the Daltons are actually less, cost less. And the great thing about the Daltons is you can clean them.
Right.
So,
they're better bang for the buck long term.
Better bang for your buck in the long term. Yeah. But, wherever you can store your water, store it. I mean, we've got a creek on our property. So that's one of my primary water sources. I'm thinking about drilling a well just so we have a secondary. We're on city water and everything like that. But it's always good to have multiple sources of water and things.
I got a question for you. So we're all Christians. We know you're a Christian. We're evangelical Christians. In light, so prepping in light of being a Christian, if what hits the fan as a Christian, is there anything specifically that you feel we need to be prepared for, based on?
I mean, one of my favorite verses in Scripture is 1 Peter 3:15. It says, "Always be ready to share the hope that's within you in meekness and fear." And what people do is when they read that verse, they kind of like brush over the always part. Well, always means always. Always means in good times and in bad. How do you share the hope when it's in bad times? Well, you prepare for it. And imagine, SHTF has happened and everything like that. You're a Christian and all this other stuff. And, how do you go out and share the gospel when you're wearing all tattered, stinky clothes and standing in a food kitchen line? Why should I listen to you? You're an idiot, So, and that's what people are going to say. You're some idiot Christian.
Great point. Yeah.
Whereas if you've prepared and everything, at least you have the wherewithal and everything because you're ahead of the curve. You're not standing in the kitchen line. Your clothes look somewhat nice. You don't stink too badly or anything like that. And so, people will take you far more seriously. And so because again, during natural disasters and catastrophes and all these other things, that's the biggest time where people are looking for the hope. And so what makes you different as the Christian versus the Christian who's standing in the soup kitchen line smelling like a pig and all torn up clothes? Always be ready to share the hope, and so many Christians today aren't. And I'm probably going to go down an avenue, people that piss off a lot of people, but go for it.
Yeah, do
Um,
it.
I'm a pan tribber. So, but a lot of people out there are not preparing because, why should I prepare? The rapture's coming.
All right.
And every year around Rosh Hashanah, you always hear it and everything like that. I really don't care anymore. But here's something for that a lot of people don't think about. Okay, the rapture is going to happen and everything. How many people do you know that do not know the Lord? How many people of your family, how many friends and everything like that? How many people know that you're a prepper? And so if the rapture takes place and you're gone and everything, who is the first person that they're going to go look for? It's probably going to be you. So why not prepare and create kits so that, even though you may not want to prepare or anything, why not prepare for your loved ones for after the rapture? And have Bibles, have DVDs, have literature, have all this, as well as food, guns, medicine, and water for them to at least kind of, make a go.
That is
And
awesome. I've never heard that before.
what you're doing is ministering to them after the fact. It's
Yeah.
like, hey, Bob, listen, I know you're here. You can make a DVD or a video of yourself and everything. If you're watching this, Bob, then, hey, the rapture's taking place and it sucks to be you. But I've got you, I got you covered because I love you and I want to see you in heaven with
That's
me. You just got to
awesome.
make it, or you don't, you just need to get the Lord in your life. So by this time, the Lord's real because I'm gone. So, but why aren't more Christians? I mean, here's a perfect evangelism point. They can evangelize to their friends after the rapture. And why aren't they doing it? Or,
Yeah.
I mean, if anything, you get my idea.
Yeah.
And you hear my frustration because I get these arguments all the time. Why should I, prep because the rapture's taking?
Right.
So, well,
Because you can still evangelize in a way after your rapture.
Yeah, why not? Think about those loved ones that won't make it, and them. Don't you love them? So
That's great.
I've never heard anybody say that before.
I haven't either.
In all the times I've been in church, I've never heard anybody talk about that.
It's very very selfish thinking, and that's why I'm pan trib now. I don't care anymore. I'm ready. I'm ready. If it happens, I'm ready. But if it doesn't happen, I mean, one of the things I'm looking for is the 2 witnesses and the temple being built. Yep. If I see those going, then I go, okay, I know what's going on now. So a prepper prepares no matter what. Yep. And so, and that's when I joined the forces of good and, do whatever it is to battle the Antichrist. And
how long have you been a believer? Like, when did you
took the question right out of my mouth?
Sorry, that's great. Yep. Hey, so when did you come to the Lord?
I was raised in church. I went to a Christian school, graduated from a Christian school and everything. And it probably wasn't until the Army. God,
I was about to make a joke that it was a grenade.
I don't know the date. And this is weird. So many people know the exact day and time and everything. But I remember I was laying in bed and just life. I was divorcing my first wife, and she was a German. I met her over in Germany. I ETS'd out of Germany. I stayed there and hung out in Germany for a while.
Did you bring her back to the States, or
I brought her back here to the States and everything like that. But life was going south, and I remember it was like 3 a.m. in the morning, and it just hit me like a ton of bricks. And for the first time, I felt like absolute loneliness, absolute nothingness, no God at all. And that's a weird feeling, when you're in the absence of God. And I felt that, and it was like, God, I am so tired of running this. I am sick of the freaking rat race. I'm sick of of all this other stuff. I've done it all, been it all. And because when I was in the Army, I was pretty rebellious. Been there, done that. I dabbled in witchcraft. I got baptized as a Mormon. I did Buddhism. I mean, all these things at the Army brains and all this other crap. And I just got sick and tired of, and God kept me on a leash, and he'd let me get out there and dabble, and then he'd yank me back. And then I go over here, okay, God, ooh, unicorns. And so it just, and after a while, it just, I didn't, there was nothing else. And finally it says, you know what, God, I'm done running. I'm so sick and tired of my life. I mean, I wasn't suicidal or anything like that. It's just like, you know, what is there? What is it? Where's my hope? Where's my purpose? Where's my, you know, if you haven't figured out, I'm kind of an A type anyway, so I kind of need that. And so at 3 a.m. in the morning, man, I said, okay, that's it. My life for you. I'm living for you, God. And from that time on, I was balls to the walls. And long time ago, I created a ministry called Prophesying. And, you know, a lot of people were affected as dealt with Bible prophecy world events. And I used to put out a weekly newsletter. I used to have a bunch of people writing for me and everything like that. And you name it, I knew them in Bible prophecy. I did a couple conferences, hosted, you know, a couple conferences. Had Tim LaHaye actually come to one of my conferences speak.
Oh, wow.
Lady, I don't know, I could name a bunch of names. You probably don't know them all. So, but I was very involved with the Pre-Trib Research Center, and that's a think tank out of Dallas.
Okay.
And things.
Cool.
So I was very involved in that and everything. And at the time, my German wife was an atheist, and so I came home. It was interesting. I come home from church one day, and she goes, "Ray, I can't be married to a Christian anymore." And I was like, "Okay." So, and the interesting thing is, I was in the ministry. I was doing ministry. I was doing prophecy, and I was doing all this stuff. And here I've got an atheist wife, and she just finally said, "I can't do it anymore." But I've been praying. It's like, God, you know, help her become a Christian, lead her to Christ, or get her out of my life. And she's the one who said it and wanted out. And it says in Corinthians, you know, if an unbeliever wants to go, let him go. And
Do not be unequally yoked.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it just, and again, I can't remember the day or time. I just remember it was, I remember the time because it was 3 a.m. I looked over at my clock.
The witching hour.
Yeah, the witching hours.
Yeah. And it's just this feeling of emptiness and aloneness and everything. And it's like, what is there? What is there to live for? Where, you know, and it's a hard thing to explain. And I basically was broken. And it's like, okay, my life for you.
It's so amazing too, because that is a classic Jesus move, by the way, to hit you, for you to be hit by something that dark, like, you know, pure spiritual loneliness at 3 a.m., the height of the witching hour. That is prime darkness time. That is prime devil time, right? And yet, what does God do? He does the same thing that Jesus did a lot of times in his ministry. He takes that and uses it out of, you know, love for you and faith in you and what he's put in you to bring you back to him. Like it's such a cool, like, a lot of people, the first article that I read of yours was one that Nick sent to me about not being a pacifist, you know, and it kind of, a lot of people don't know what to do with real Jesus. They know what to do with gentle Jesus, meek and mild, turn the other cheek. They don't know what to do with, you know, sell your cloak and buy a sword Jesus. And, oh yeah, by the way, I'm going to go, you know, preach in the areas where the fallen angels landed, and I'm going to go, you know, into hell, and or just, you know, all these different things that, like, Jesus, his ministry, and it shows up in people's lives, such as your experience there. He uses those moments to deprive or deny the enemy. You know, he takes those hills and those fortifications from the enemy that they set up to trap you and us.
3 a.m.
Like 3 a.m. and the darkness and being, you know, and that spiritual isolation and being married to an atheist. And, you know, it's almost like he waits and lets the devil set up, you know, these traps, these fortifications. And then he's like, you know what? I'm going to come in with a Moab. And I'm going to rescue this guy, you know, from his situation that you have tried to set up and destroy him with. And it's such a cool move. Like, you know, Jesus is not the pacifist, that the nice, comfortable, safe martyr that everybody thinks he is. Like, dude, Jesus is a conqueror, man.
He's to be feared.
Yeah.
As well as loved.
Yeah.
He's the Lion of Judah.
Yeah.
The lion. Yeah.
Yeah.
It-
You know?
It's interesting. After I really, because I considered myself a Christian and born again and everything. I think every serious Christian goes through this. You become a Christian, you get born again, but you then sooner or later transition to where you finally submit.
Mhm.
And some people just don't make it there, but you do get to a point where you finally submit and everything. And I remember that. And after submitting to him and everything, about a year or so later, a group called Avalon came out.
Oh yeah.
And Avalon, and on it, their Maze of Grace album has a song called Speed of Light, and it's called Love by, where and it was weird. I'm getting chills down my back already.
Cool.
Is
Good stuff.
in
the
the
juice.
song they talk about 3 a.m. and the morning's dead and all this other, and then that he came to that person at the speed of light and everything. It's like,
That's you.
Yep.
yeah.
Dude.
So, but yeah, just talk. I'm getting.
Isn't that crazy? Like, you have such a specific experience like that, and then you hear a song like that, which in the church is typically referred to as a confirmation. But what it does is it tells you you are not, well, in a way, it tells you you're not special because, you're not the only one it's happened to.
Sure.
But you are special in that it's worth it to God to come and rescue you in that scenario. But you're not the only one to have that experience. So you're not crazy and you're not alone. And those are the two things that, Satan really wants to convince Christians of, is that, just like them that, conservatives are surrounded by, they want to convince you that you are crazy and you are alone, but you're not, And that's like Mike had pointed out something in the comments earlier about, having a network of people, and in a suburban environment, it seems so critical to get to know your neighbors. And it takes so little to get to know your neighbors, and to build some sort of a rapport with them, but it's so easy to never do that.
Well, it's interesting how I'm doing that. Is my neighbor, I've got my ham license.
Cool.
And my neighbor, I noticed some antennas on him, and so this is, I'm a big fan of Baofeng. And Baofeng, if you can go and you see my videos, I did a video about the Baofeng UV5R. And
I have like 5 of those, I think.
Yeah,
I had a bunch of those.
Cheap radios. I mean,
they're like $25.
Yeah. You get the whole kit and caboodle for like $39.
Yeah.
But they are great. Get your feet wet, get moving. But you can buy a number of these, just store them, keep them. And if the crap hits the fan, the FCC is not going to be running around looking for everybody, hand radios out to everybody. And you got decent communication. And so, but this is my newest. This is a 10 watt, and I've been playing with this one. I like this one.
What is it about that one that you like?
I live in a hollow or a bowl.
Yep.
And I've got trees all around me. I live in a forest, and the repeaters are about 10 miles away, and I don't have line of sight. I've got a good antenna on it and everything. And the 5 watt just wasn't really reaching out there crystal clear. The 8 watt, I honestly have not tried, because I got a really good antenna, thinking that, and here I'm broadcasting, I'm hearing people. My antenna sucked. It was a broken antenna. And so I didn't know. And then testing, that's how I found it, because I was testing this. And I went over to my neighbor and Mike, dude, Brandon, it's not testing. What's going on? Is it your antenna? So he switched out his antenna, let me borrow this. And then I'm getting a good diamond, whip antenna for mine tomorrow. But but yeah, this booms. And so it hits the repeaters easily 10 miles away. And because here in the Roanoke area, we live in a bowl. It's a giant,
Spring Hill's in a bowl.
Great place to
Tennessee
live.
Valley, Spring Hill, we're all in the same boat. Yeah,
great place to live for a nuke. If you ever gone to Nuke Map, go to Nuke Map.
Yes.
And run your fallouts.
And you can select your watt or your megatonnage. You know, you can
do all
select
kinds
your
of stuff.
That's
I
a
blew
cool
the crap out
website.
of DC and Baltimore and New York. I mean, I'm just blowing up everywhere, and none of the fallout is coming to Roanoke.
Dude, that's
Yeah.
awesome. Well, speaking of nukes, our sponsor Mike had a question about your opinion on Putin. Putin has obviously just done some chest thumping,
sure.
some threatening, positioning. What do you think about all that? What's your opinion of Putin?
I honestly don't think he's bluffing, but he's got too much trouble at home to launch a nuke. And then the scary thing is that I think that he would only do, short range, minor tactical nukes, something that will, blow up a block. He's not going to go crazy. But the thing is, our response, they've already released what our response is. We're going to blow the crap up out of your Caspian Sea base and everything in the Caspian Sea.
Yeah.
So,
and then it's on.
And it's this escalation thing where the previous administration had a head on their shoulders and would be able to negotiate and talk and everything like that. The current administration, I'm concerned to say, push that button.
Tapioca brain's gonna try and find the button, baby.
And so is Putin, and that's the biggest thing, is Putin bluffing. Part of me says no, he isn't, but part of me, he himself is getting backed up to the wall. I mean, the day that he made that announcement, Russians fled freaking Russia. You could not buy a plane ticket out of Russia because all these men were leaving. Everybody was leaving. Because he also called up 300,000 reservists at the same time to go fight in Ukraine. And so rats are jumping ship. Yeah. And so he's got a lot of problems going on at home, but is he crazy enough to push that button or something like that?
What if someone's watching this video and they go to Nuke Map and they're like, wow, I'm in a really heavy fallout area, and they hear your opinion about Putin? Would you recommend that they relocate? Is this the time to think about relocating?
I mean, the negative is with the high inflation and everything, mortgage rates are sitting at 6 point something %. They're probably going to go up to 8, and then when they do that full point, who knows how high they're going to go by then. But mortgage rates are not good. But if you're able to absorb that and get a mortgage, and at least find someplace else or something like that, that might be a viable solution, just to get out of the area and things. The negative, and here's the bad thing, and this is if we actually had full-scale nuclear war and everything like that, there would be a lot of survivors. There would be a lot of people killed, and there would be a lot of survivors. But within 3 years, as you're talking about, most people dying of famine.
Yeah.
And everything. And so it's just, nuclear war doesn't help anybody. But and for something that massive and everything, that's you have your preps, but you have what's called your food plan. What are you going to do when your food runs out? And that's another thing that I try to teach and talk about and everything. And this is where hunting, fishing, homesteading, skills and everything really come in. It's foraging and everything.
But if you see a 3-headed deer, probably don't want to ingest that, though, right?
Yeah, fair.
Yeah,
well, and that's the funny thing about, the previous administration took so much flack for, being, it was, the resistance, like, you got to fight tyranny. He's going to be a dictator. Meanwhile, everything that's been happening over the past couple of years is all exponentially more dictatorial. And what they didn't understand is that the previous administration knew how to talk to people like Putin or Kim Il-sung.
Yeah.
And like the bridge building that, and the peacekeeping that was made, because sure, like whatever your complaints are about the guy, whatever your complaints are about 45, fair enough. But,
he's a mean tweeter.
Right. And I love those mean tweets. I love them because they galvanize people who already hated him and hated you anyways. Yeah. So good. All these world leaders think he's an embarrassment. Good. They're all a bunch of globalists. Who cares? They don't they don't care about this country anyways, and they're looking to exploit it. So like, accelerate to going ahead and getting the enemy out in the open. You don't want those wolves to continue wearing wool,
Yeah.
and they are. But he knew how to talk to guys like Putin.
Yeah.
And
him and Putin were, I can't say friends,
but they were amicable.
totally had a very good relationship.
Yeah,
And
which is good for everybody.
Putin totally respected him. He respected, so.
And that guy only operates off of respect.
Yeah.
Putin only operates off of respect. And Putin is a nationalist, and our guy was a nationalist too. Good. That's how you maintain a healthy relationship. Good fences make for good neighbors. And
That's
having building some sort of high respect, high integrity, high value and trust culture that is our tribe and your tribe can work together in the neutral zone, but ultimately our tribe looks out for our best interest, and we respect the fact that you guys look out for your best interest is what keeps people from launching bombs at each other, not this this woke passive tapioca brain administration we have now. Okay, so I'm sorry, go ahead, Ray.
I was just going to say, what's your real opinion?
Actually,
we can't say it because this is straight to YouTube.
I'll be honest with you, Ray.
We don't want to lose our sanctification.
That is my governed opinion. That is
well put.
Yeah, that is not my off the chain, off the leash opinion. I do have a couple of real quick self-indulgent questions, if you will indulge me. I want to know one, what kind of watch you recommend for survival. Or any sort of prepping situation. I'm into watches. I like watches. The G-Shocks are cool, and Timex has a bunch of cool stuff. And then I just would like to get your recommendation on what you think like the top 2 or 3 general firearms would be that you think are good options for most people.
Okay, watches. I love the Army, the Timex, and I'm going to actually try to go out and find it again. Army used to put out or issue a Timex watch, and this was the greatest watch in the world. I used to have one, and I think I lost it or anything. But it's one of those wind up ones. You got to wind up every day and everything. But it had great illumination. It kept great time. It wasn't quartz movement or anything like that. It was just a great Timex that was made for the Army, and you can just beat the crap out of it. And it's just, takes a licking and keeps on ticking.
Yeah.
I mean, it was, and so I love that for a totally, totally, probably affordable, but also reliable watch. I mean, I wore that thing for 4 years. And I loved it. I mean, we were issued them, and so it was the greatest thing, and we got to keep them too. So that's
nice.
But I just kept switching bands. The band wears out. The watch keep on, but my band wore out. We had to wear these Velcro bands, and I don't know if you remember. They're Velcro, but they also had covers on them, so that because these things were illuminated. I mean, I don't know what kind of glow they had. Maybe they had some of the radium or something in it. I don't know. But you shine your light on it for like 3 or 4 seconds, and you're good to go for an entire hump. And
wow.
we used to go we used to hump at night all the freaking time. And so you just shine it, 10-second boom, and you're good to go. But you had to have a flap on it, because you could literally see these watches all over the place.
Like fireflies out there.
Yeah, exactly.
They use the same technology on the HK pistols. They have their illumination sights that are not. They have the actual night sights with the radioactive isotope, the tritium, but then they have the others where you just bang them with a flashlight real quick and they'll illuminate for a couple hours. But that's better technology.
Yeah. But that, and if you're just looking for high speed, low drag, and electronic and everything, I don't know what sort of I run a Samsung Note, and so I love my Samsung Note, and so I also love my Samsung watch. I beat the crap out of this thing. I'm rough on watches, and a good thing to do is go to Best Buy, buy one. Purchase the warranty thing, so if you break it, they'll give you a new one. And for the past 7 years, I think all I've been doing is going in, and they've been buying me a watch, and all I do is I just keep upping the You know, well, we got this later and greater one. Well, how much more? Oh, it's only $50 more because of your warranty. You mean
Sign me up.
yeah. And then you get another warranty on top of that.
Oh, that's
And
awesome.
so, but I haven't paid full price for a watch in
7
'cause I love
years.
my Samsungs. I had a Note 7, Note 8, Note 9. This is a Note 10. No, I didn't have a Note 9. I had a Note 10. So, but I love my Samsungs and I love my Notes. And
Does the Samsung watch have like a compass, altimeter, barometer, all that
dude,
stuff?
yeah,
And can
it's
you
got
run it
everything.
without a, like, if I had an iPhone, could I still purchase a Samsung watch and use it?
No, I mean you can. Oh, come on.
Yeah.
You can. Let's see here. So you
Yeah.
twist the bevel, and I love this. You twist the bevel, and it changes.
Cool.
So I got like there's weather. These are oh, that's my heart rate and my walking and everything like that. So I instantly
Nice.
know. My wife has an Apple and she's always checking how many hours she slept and everything. It took her 15 minutes for it to sync. I wake up in the morning and once it notices that I'm awake, how many hours did you sleep? 6.5, or
It's
whatever.
right there.
It's all right there.
Yeah.
And then you can choose all these apps, and there's a bazillion apps you can put on your watch. And then let's see here. Reminders, calendars, barometer and everything like that. I mean, you name it, they got it for this watch. You can swap out the watch face like crazy. I mean, it takes a beating. It's I just love it. And I think because this is the third gen, and I want to say they're going for like $125 right now, maybe less.
Nothing.
But
I spent twice that on my G-Forces or G-Shocks.
yeah,
It's awesome.
that's if you're looking for something fancy. This thing does everything, and then there's a whole bunch of apps that I got, but I don't put on my watch. But if anything did happen, I can instantly throw them on my watch. I've already downloaded them to my phone and everything. I just need to upload them and stuff. And so it's just, compasses and all this other junk that I can have. Negative is it does eat up your battery.
Oh, sure.
But these run for about 3 days on a charge.
It's pretty good.
So, or 3.5 days. But there's just a lot of things that you can do with it. It syncs. Well, all I did is put my watch on, turn on my thing, find watch, done.
Oh, that's cool.
Nice.
Because it's
very
Samsung,
useful.
Samsung, and because we also have Samsung TVs and some other Samsung products and everything. I run everything off my phone.
Yeah.
And then I love my Alexa. I believe in hiding in the noise. And so let them know. I mean, I know I got a dossier that thick on me already. So why fight it? And so Alexa's my friend. And
hide in the noise.
Yeah, talk about that. What do you mean by that?
Hide in the noise. A good friend of mine works for a very high Library of Congress, and he is the computer security guru in charge of the Library of Congress. And so one day I was talking to him, and because I was getting all freaked out, man, should I do encryption? Should I do this? Should I do that? Should I be getting hush mail and PGP everything and all that other crap? And he was going, dude, he says, when the not TSA, shoot, it's not CIA. NSA, thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, NSA, if you are doing all this encrypted crap and you're trying to hide and everything, you're going to start raising flags. What is he doing? Why is he wanting to hide? What has he got to hide? So what you're doing is you're putting basically a
target on your back.
And so he says, dude, hide in the noise. Just be everybody and just put everything out there. And the powers that be are just they're not even going to look twice at you,
like you're being a digital gray man,
basically. Yeah, which I practice gray man a lot when I'm not wearing kilts.
right, sure.
But yeah, it's basically digital gray man, just blending in with everybody else. Everybody else
that.
is doing this. Everybody else has got TikTok. Everybody else got Instagram. Everybody else, just hiding the noise.
Yeah,
You know,
just be one more face just
it's just
screaming in the collage of
yeah,
digital buffoonery.
yeah.
You
And
know?
that was some of the greatest security advice I've ever been given, and he gave that to me about 10 years ago, and
Yeah.
and to this day I still live
How more
live
relevant now than ever.
And because why it's a joke, and we were kind of talking about that off air, is I had someone hit me up on Facebook and said, well, I'm not doing this, and I'm going to get off of Facebook, and I'm going to get off that, and said, yeah, I'm hiding, I'm getting off. And it's like, dude, they know where you are already,
Yeah.
and know everything about you. They know what you're going to eat for freaking lunch next Thursday, based on your credit and all this other crap. I mean,
Mhm.
and he said, well, and he kind of challenged me, well, at least you can't find me. Oh, really?
Yes, I
And
can.
so there's this website I go to, and I pay a subscription to, and popped them up. I just, you can look them up by their Facebook name and tell them who they really are or whatever, and you can just learn all kinds of stuff. If they're on social media or anything like that, you're pegged. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
even if you're not on social media, if I know who your last name is and the city you live in, I could probably find you.
Yeah.
Within 10 minutes.
For like $30 a month.
Yep.
If I have your name or your phone number
Yeah.
or anything like that, email address, I can probably find everywhere you've lived in the past 10 years, a number of phone numbers for you and your family, for anybody who may be connected to you, along with all your social media profiles. And that's nothing. And I'm not a private investigator. I'm not anybody special.
We should invest in that to find guests.
Yeah.
Start stalking potential guests.
Call them on their cell phones.
So, Dr. Heiser, I know you used to live in Virginia.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And the thing is all public records too. So, but a lot of people don't know how to search public records or anything like that.
Yeah.
But
And that's all it is.
Is they've compiled all this information.
It's an aggregator.
Spot. Yeah. And so you can find just about anything and everything on
it's just a meta crawler of aggregated information that's all public domain. Real quick, Ray, any sort of what are like 3 guns that you think are good for people too? And like a big part of your brand is not choosing the gun, right? Like that's one of the cool things about you is that like you have so much stuff on, knives and improv weapons and so many great alternatives to guns, because guns are like the easy thing that everybody on YouTube goes to, that they build their little brand off of. But just for you personally, I'd just be curious, what are like 2 or 3 that you like?
First of all, I love the 9mm. And I love my Glock. I'm a huge Glock fan. Give me magazine capacity, 16-1 or 15-1.
Yeah.
More lead down range. And I these 1911 guys, man, that carry like 15 mags on them just to equal my 2 mags. Ridiculous.
Yeah.
So Glock. I love Glock 19s. I love Glock 26. Glock 17. The Glock 17 is kind of big.
Yeah.
The 19 is really good. And then I'm a big fan of the 22. I love the Ruger, Mark 3, Mark 5.
The Mark 4s are great with their new takedown system.
But I love Ruger, and then I also love the Walther P22. And
that is a good
get the Walther P22. A lot of Walther P22s have a little thing on them where you can undo it, and it's got the threaded barrel.
Yep. And they come with a tool. You can take the little front piece off and you can insert the threaded portion.
It is totally made.
Suppressor.
Yeah, it is a great suppressor weapon.
It really is. And it's not picky on its ammo. I've known a couple guys who run those suppressed, and those are really good. And the great thing about the Walther P22 over the Ruger Mark IV, and the Ruger Mark IVs are like the gold standard, but the Walther P22 is smaller, so your kids can shoot it easier, and it's fully ambidextrous. With it's got that European style magazine release built into the trigger guard, as opposed to the Western style push button, and so many people can use it. And it also, the safety mechanism works as a decocker on it, and that's a cool little gun.
It's a great, and they're inexpensive.
Yeah, they're
like $200. and they come in all these pretty colors.
They do. Yeah. We had one in Muddy
so,
Girl. camo.
I like that. And then next, I really love the Ruger 1022. I think everybody needs to have a 1022 in their collection. And then I'm a big fan of the Mossberg 500. 500?
Nice.
Yeah.
500 and 590. Yep.
And then yeah, anything Moss. And in fact, Mossberg makes, and then oh gosh, what is it? Marshall.
The Patriot.
It starts with an M. It's
the Maverick. Yeah, the Maverick 88.
Mossberg, but the stinking wooden parts were made in Mexico and assembled in Texas. So what? You know, you're getting a Mossberg.
Yeah.
You know, it may rattle a little bit, okay. But
I had a 590 Mariner that I loved so much I sold it and bought it back a year later from the guy. I tracked him down. Yeah. So yeah, I'm a big fan of
that. I love the Mossberg, and then to reach out, and so I'm kind of, so your 22 is for close and small game and all this other stuff, and you know what? If you shoot someone with a 22 and empty a magazine on them, they're going to be hurting. So stopping power. I love my hollow points in my 9, so I'm all about hollow points. But so we've got 22, we got the 9, we have the shotgun. And I love the pump no matter what. So being at 20 or 12, 20 is good to have if you've got kids and if your wife isn't, you know, you go for the 12, go get a 20 for your wife and kids. And then finally, for a long range and touch somebody weapon, Mosin Nagant.
Oh, okay.
Throw off the wood, throw on a nice Monte Carlo
Archangel
or something like that. But Mosin Nagant, I mean, some of the best snipers you read about, some of these greatest snipers and everything like that, all Mosin Nagants, and you can buy them. Yeah, so, I mean, what 99 to 150? You know, some what was it, Bass Pro or you know, sometimes they buy like a bazillion of them, and you buy them for $99. Now you got to clean the crap off of them and and everything, but you know, for a good cheap gun. And it'll shoot. It'll kill walking, two-legged and four-legged. And
you know, and that ammo is not expensive.
It's cheap. Yeah. So
and
this is realistic prepping. To me, this is Then once you got all that stuff, then you can go out and get your AR. You know, but you work in stages. So that you know, and then like with the pump, I love the pump because you can fill it with different loads. So like, you know, my pump, I've got a couple bird, I've got a couple bucks, and then because I pulled the tube out, and then I got a slug as my last one. So my thought is bird shot is for indoors, you know, kill whatever. And then the other one is, you know, the buck is for, you know, whatever. But then the slug is to take out the car or the guy in the car who's driving away.
Yeah, it worked for the IDF.
Your ammo. So
the IDF used there was Mossberg made a bolt action. I can't remember what it was, but they used it for roadblock checkpoint security to take out a radiator or an engine block. They'd load it with slugs. You know, usually the Brennicky, the KO slug, the real high velocity stuff. But dude, slugs are awesome. I took a ballistics course one time about 2 years ago over at that training facility. And I was amazed at how effective slugs were compared to buckshot, but weirdly enough, they didn't run the risk of overpenetration as much as buckshot did.
Oh, wow.
Because buckshot is like, you know, 8 or 9 millimeters. Yeah, they're all like, you know, 38 caliber rounds coming at you, but a slug is just 1.1 ounce fist. You know, it's like a battering ram. So it actually, like, once it hits something, if it doesn't fragment, like, it actually slows down better than you know. It's very bizarre. You would never think
the science behind it is the same science as the longbow. You know, the longbow is a very slow drawing, very slow shooting. But it's just got all this force behind it. Same thing with the slug.
Yeah, slugs are very effective. So
that's cool.
Thanks for indulging me on that,
Yeah.
Ray. I
He
really
loves talking guns.
yeah.
You can tell. That's
yeah,
his-
we're
that's
gonna
his
have to
jam,
have you
man.
back for like some more violence talking.
Right?
What kind of gun do you think the Archangel Michael would use? Yeah. If the apostles were alive today, do you think they'd all have like AK-47s or it's pretty cool. Pulling Chris
Uzis.
Farley on you. Yeah, Uzis. You know what? You're probably right. They probably would have Uzis. Yeah. Awesome.
I have one last question. What about our Canadian brothers up there? They're going through a really tough situation in Canada,
And they're
right
so
now.
nice.
They are. Yeah. I mean, what would you tell someone who lives kind of up there in the northern reaches?
It sucks to be you. It's
Yep.
Canada is
South.
really getting screwed, blued, and tattooed.
Yeah.
Trudeau is just destroying their country.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody talks about free healthcare. It's a mess up there and everything. And then things are costing so much more, and then the government is locking down on what you can buy now and all this other stuff. And then I think gas prices are outrageous up there. It's tough. And then the taxes are outrageous. Being Canadian, and again, I don't know, the law, UK law or British law or whatever, but being Canadian, you are part of the Commonwealth. And when you are part of the Commonwealth, you're able to go wherever the Commonwealth is. And so I'd relocate, go to some other Commonwealth country, or something like that. And just get the heck out of Dodge. I mean, that's move to Australia or something, or it'd be hard getting into New Zealand. New Zealand's pretty strict and things, but but yeah, if you have a Canadian passport, you can pretty much move within anywhere of the Commonwealth, and then from what I'm understanding, again, I'm not Canadian. I don't study their law or anything, but for a lot of the Canadians that I knew down in Costa Rica and Panama, moving along the Commonwealth was actually somewhat pretty easy. You got to pay your fees and do your paperwork and everything. It doesn't mean that you become a citizen of that country. You're still Canadian, but you're now, getting residency is a heck of a lot easier. My Canadian buddies would get residency so much easier in some of these other, country, Barbados or Virgin Islands, UK, they would be able to get residency so much faster than me. And so the Canadians are out there, look into immigrating or getting out of Dodge for a while or something, go to one of the other, Commonwealth countries and stuff, So that's probably the best advice. Otherwise, Canada is closer to Argentina than we are close to Argentina. I use Argentina as my thermostat or my proving ground or my benchmark.
Yep.
And
kind of the canary in the coal mine.
Yeah, it sounds like it'd be a good case to study to prepare for what's coming.
And there's tons of videos on, look up Argentina economic collapse on YouTube, and there's just a boatload of videos, and it just walks through, and it's amazing what happened there is happening here, and it has been happening up in Canada. So Canada is closer to the Argentinian collapse than we are, but we're not too far behind. And that's one of the things that scares me.
Yeah.
So will the administrations and the powers that be drive this nation into the ground? Because Argentina used to be something like the 5th or 7th richest nation in the world until they just
bottomed out. Welcome to socialism. Yeah. Thanks, Karl Marx. Thanks, Satan. Mike Fisher had a couple of comments. He said you can use 38 for 357 Magnum for your revolver. Yep, that's very true.
I do that,
especially if you get wad cutters. Even wad cutters can be effective. And then he also recommends the Kilted KSG, which I actually was thinking about this earlier today. The KSG is like the only bullpup pump action 12 gauge I would ever recommend out of like the 5 or 7 that are out there. Like the KSG, like we have, first of all, it's been around for a while. Second of all, You know, you can run 15 rounds total, or you can run the Aguila mini shells and get 21 rounds in the standard KSG.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Can I, Mama Shay here?
Oh
has
yeah.
a comment, and I would love to.
Oh, about the Samsung?
Yeah, Samsung will be useless when the grid drops. And this is one of these scenarios and everything. And the number one question that you have to ask yourself is, if you're going to war with somebody, you want the spoils of war. So everybody talks about an EMP. EMP truly is a situation. I mean, I'm more concerned with the solar EMP taking place. I mean, we've got a lot of solar activity going on right now, but a solar EMP is more concerning, but that would hit more globally. But if Russia or somebody, EMP'd us and everything, what do they gain? I mean, even Iran, what does Iran gain? Because to the victor go the spoils. And if they basically just created nothing, that's what makes our country so great, is our riches and all our infrastructure and all this other stuff, that what we do, that's the spoils of war. And so, it's up there with nuke. I mean, I could see almost New York being nuked, and let's leave the rest of the country alone. Just, let's just lob one, knock the crap out of it, and then you want us to do more?
Yeah.
I mean, but I don't see an EMP really being something. I mean, I'm not saying not be concerned. You should be concerned. I've got a microwave out in my garage, which is my Faraday cage. I've got electronics, my extra Kindle, and some other stuff in there. So I prepare for it, but it's not up there on my list. And because the primary thing is the spoils of war.
Yeah.
And if you EMP our nation, you've lost everything. And then what you then need to do is come in and rescue us.
Yep.
Are they going to want to do that? Heck no.
No, they want to take out the people.
Yeah. So it's, well, the thing is, they're going to have instant slaves and stuff like that. But still, rebuilding this infrastructure is going to take at least 3 years and everything. And so it would be too much of a long-term commitment and stuff. So
especially for the telecom lines. The telecom lines are in such dire need of repair and replacement and upkeep and upgrade. Yeah, that smashing them, you're setting yourself 5 years back.
Now, hackers hacking the system and everything, I see it more as a more feasible thing that could take place situation. But I'm not much into the EMP.
Yeah, we had it happen like a year and a half to 2 years ago when the one of the pipelines, I think it was in Texas, maybe, got hacked. I might be getting my location wrong, but there was a scenario that happened like that. And the only other time you really have to worry about that, like the Jordani Jovanovic guys, Mike Fisher, he also is plugged in with a company called EMP Shield, which I think is really interesting and cool. And it's a valid question when you are thinking about domestic socialist terrorist groups, groups, or maybe for nationalist like ISIS, just people who just hate us, and they're just like Joker. They just want to watch the world burn. It's not about the money, it's about sending a message, that kind of thing. And those guys do exist, but when you're looking at geopolitical situations, you're absolutely right. Like, they want to be as gentle as possible with their targeted strikes, because what's the point if you wipe us all out? So but and then having a grid down situation, the only thing that would really wipe out the grid would be an EMP. A hacker could, but I think that we would rebound a lot faster versus an EMP. And then a hacker would be pinpointed. It wouldn't be nationwide or anything like that. So the only thing, I mean, am I prepared for an EMP? Yes, I've got some electronics and everything. I do need to get one of these big bag Faraday cages to hold some of my other gear and everything. But I would be more concerned about the hacker targeting areas and everything. I mean, I chose where I live for a reason and did a lot of research and everything. If we were going to make a tactical move, then let's make a tactical move. Like I said, went on Nuke Map and ran every scenario I could. That's awesome. And Shay also mentions natural disasters. I would actually, Ray, if you'd ever be down for it, I would love to have you come back on and let's just tackle natural disasters preparedness, because I think we could probably talk for an hour about it, because
I lived through the Loma Prieta earthquake. That's the one that knocked out the Bay Bridge and destroyed the Bay Area. I lived through that. In fact, I was a FEMA inspector for the government looking at damage, and so I learned a lot out of that. I lived through the H1N1, and it happened in New Braunfels, Texas, actually.
Oh, okay.
And within like 5 days, about 1,500 people died. 1,000 to 1,500 people died.
And they locked
and
down
they covered
town, right?
that up like crazy.
Oh my gosh, we have got to talk about that.
Yeah,
that was in oh gosh, I want to say 2006, 2007. Look it up. You barely find anything about it on the news, but you do know that during that time, the swine flu did hit America. New Braunfels was ground zero, and they locked our town down tighter than a drum. And then, the hurricanes. I used to live in Houston, so did all that. So I've got natural disaster.
I got a friend who was in. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
One thing that people do not think about, and it's probably going to hit almost everybody in one time or another, is the pink slip, being fired.
Yeah.
And that's a serious situation. Why not prep for it? Odds are it's going to happen to you, especially in this day and age. We're going to see a lot more unemployment thanks to inflation and craziness and everything like that. So why not prepare for it? Forget all the zombies and all this other, doomsday prepper crap. Prepare for the pink slip.
Yeah.
Know that you're either you or your spouse or both you're going to get fired. I mean, the odds are there. So
yeah, especially in the next year or so.
Yep.
Raymond Mhor, this has been one of the coolest episodes we have done in a long time. We have got to get you back to talk about some of this stuff, because there are 2 or 3 moments in here where I'm like, oh, I gotta remember, we gotta have him back so I can ask about this, and I gotta comb back through this, because I think we could build at least another hour to 2 hours interview off of this if you'd ever be willing to come back.
I haven't even been paying attention to that.
We're 2.5 hours in. We got a jet actually. So.
Okay, cool.
But well, a lot of the people who will watch these interviews are Christians. They're looking at end times events. They're looking at biblical prophecy. They listen to Gary Wayne and Derek Gilbert. They have questions. They're not getting answers from churches, and at the same time, they're like, "Why is the country falling down around us? It is completely crumbling." So they have their eye on all these things, and everything you've shared today is really, really relevant.
Yeah. And
to their fear. And I think that as we get, closer to the end of this year and into next year, it would be awesome to have you back at some point.
Yeah.
And get even more, get hyper specific about a lot of these potential scenarios.
And
that's going to help relieve people's anxiety when they know what to do.
Absolutely. And there will be more things as we get closer to, we have availability in mid-December. And, as we get closer to the end of the year, once we get into the winter, there are going to be some more salient topics that are going to come up. And, you really are kind of, from what I can tell, Ray, you really are kind of doing the work of the Lord here, because I love that article that Nick sent me about, Christian pacifism. I've looked up, I've had a little bit of time to look up some of your other articles, and your website is awesome. And I like it that there is still a website out there where you can read about this stuff, because so many people just put it on YouTube, which is great. There's nothing wrong with that, but I like having the option to actually go to your website and look at the comments, look at your responses to the comments, and see the dialogue back and forth, and have all these other links to, I'm an old school internet guy, so it's kind of cool to have that. But if you want, you can have the YouTube, channel that you can go to, where you can watch the videos or listen to them while you're on the way to work. Are there? Oh, go ahead.
If you like that article, I'm getting ready probably here soon. I've got so many articles I'm working on, but I've got one called "Live by the Sword, Die by the Sword: The Coward's Second Favorite Verse."
Oh, yes.
And that one is going to be, it's going to blow your mind.
Yeah.
Oh man,
there was something I shared it with Nick and J. Reese Bradley a while back. There was something that some theologian or scholar from probably hundreds of years ago wrote, that basically talked about how that's not, maybe I'm I don't know, maybe I'm spoiling. I don't know if this is the same conceit that you had for that, but that verse isn't warning you not to use the sword. It's just saying hey, you might have to take responsibility for wielding the sword. And you may have to. You may have to wield the sword, but just know that you'll be responsible for wielding the sword, and that that's not a good or bad thing. It's just a law of the universe.
Yeah, I drilled down deep into that and really look at the situation, what's going on, and everything, and with that. But it's a pretty cool article. I'm doing my finishing touches on it and everything, and I really showed Christ as the bad
Mamma Jamma.
Yeah, bad Mamma Jamma.
Yeah.
And people don't understand that. They always think he's some nice guy, and
right. He's some hippie.
No, he was a bad Mamma Jamma.
He was
well, dude, when he said, you put it in that article, there was an article that you wrote where, you show that when this cohort of, guys come to arrest him and he says, I am he, they all fall back or drop to a knee. And dude,
it's there in scripture.
It's right there in scripture. Yeah.
So think of the power of him saying that, and you're you're blown away.
Yeah.
And everything. That's
and that article's going to be on that's going to be on RaymondMhor.com. Is that where you're going to post that?
RaymondMhor.com, MHOR.com. And come check me out.
Ray, where are the best places for people to find you?
RaymondMhor.com if you want articles and everything. And then I also have my YouTube videos linked into there. I'm going to start doing my podcasts. I've been getting a lot of interviews and stuff for some reason, and God's got me busy. And then Facebook, I live on Facebook. Look up RaymondMhor.com. I mean, Raymond Mhor, MHOR. I'm there. And then, friend me. Best way to contact me is friend me, then send me a private message and stuff, and have questions. I'm going to be very honest with you. I don't have time to chat about the weather and all this other stuff. I'll be glad to sit and talk to you and chat and give you my time and everything. But, respect my time and don't just, hey, how you doing? And blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But because I want to, if I do give you my phone number, then know that I want you to call me, and because I don't give my phone number out to everybody.
Awesome.
That's for certain situations. But I'm on Instagram, I'm on Gab, I'm on Truth Social.
Cool.
I'm everywhere. Raymond Mhor or the kiltedprepper.com. I also have, and so, but that's how people get hold of me. And buy my Amazon stuff. Help support my work here. But buy my Amazon stuff. If you're interested in Thrive, contact me. I can help you with that. That's a really good deal. If you're looking, especially in this day and age, if you're looking to earn some money, you may earn 10% commission and 7% in free food. Yeah. So it's a pretty good deal. And because everybody's going to need to eat.
Yeah.
But those are the best way to contact me, and I'll help you. I don't mind investing time into you as long as you respect mine.
Absolutely. That's great. Well, man, this has been awesome. Thank you again for reaching out, for coming on the show. And
I think you're the first one to reach out to us, actually.
Well, there was that one guy getting on me, but he was just wanted to argue about stuff.
Yeah, we don't.
This has been amazing. This has been absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
And
what did it is I saw Derek, and wow, Derek's on your show and everything. And I called him up and everything. He's, yeah, man, cool dudes.
Oh, really?
I love Derek.
Oh, dude, that's so sweet. Dude, we love Derek.
Yeah.
Derek has been so good to us, man. That's awesome.
He's been good to me too. So.
And he was really generous. He came on twice. He came on once by himself, and then again with Gary Wayne. We did a 9/11 episode, and then he had us on his show, A View from the Bunker, which was a huge honor. That's massive for us.
That was huge.
Yeah. So we are super blessed to have you. And
I haven't been on his bunker show, but I have been on some of his Skywatch shows. Oh, yeah. They flew me out to Skywatch, and I've been on a number of their shows and stuff like that. So
good network of people, man. Yeah, it really seems like it's a great network to have. Judging by you at least. So far. Awesome.
Hey, Mama Shay, I'm glad you love your Samsung. So I wasn't picking on you. So, and I'm looking at you there. So
And she's going to be on our live stream
Next
here pretty
week.
soon. Yeah, next
Next
week.
week.
Yeah,
Yep.
she
Powerful testimony.
Yeah, she came out of witchcraft, I think.
Oh,
and,
wow.
yeah, satanic witchcraft, and she's a Christian with her husband, raising a couple kids, and yeah,
Cool.
she's really cool.
Yeah,
So
it's gonna be great.
yeah,
coolness.
awesome. Raymond Mhor, the Kilted Prepper, a soldier for God on a mission. Don't waste his time.
Keeping us all alive.
That's right.
Yeah.
Keeping us fed knowledge and occasionally food and really cool knives.
Yeah.
Well, I do appreciate your time and appreciate you doing 2.5 hours and everything. You know, I don't shut up. If you just keep
That's all
asking
right.
questions, I'll keep talking. But
Every
I do
time you do, I
appreciate
learn
it.
something.
It's been a lot of fun. I love to come back, and maybe
Awesome.
what I can do is when I start doing my podcasts and stuff, have you guys on.
Oh yeah.
Oh, man,
I'd
love
be
that.
honored.
Yeah, I'd love that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Dude, we'd love to. And we'll send you some dates for December. See if it lines up for you to be able to come on. And man, I would love to have you back to talk about a couple things.
And this one worked out great. If you have any
Yeah.
cancellations or anything, call me.
Yeah.
Okay.
We do occasionally. Actually, that's kind of how this worked.
Yep.
We got
Yeah.
super lucky. We had another guy who we love very dearly. He's one of our first guests, and he was supposed to come on to talk about his audiobook version of his novel. And very great, comedian, great book, blah blah blah.
Hilarious, yeah.
And it just happened that it didn't get done in time, so we had like this awesome little pocket open up, and I'll tell you, total God
Yeah.
move.
Yeah.
Works out really well.
Yep.
So thank you, Jesus.
He's doing some pretty cool stuff. I can't
Thanks,
complain.
Ray.
All right.
Awesome. Well, Ray, thank you, sir. We'll catch you later. And
Yeah.
everybody go to RaymondMhor.com.
Yeah.
MHOR.
MHOR.
Yeah.
MOHR, because I made that mistake.
No,
MHOR.com.
yeah.
And friend him on Facebook.
Yeah. Look him up. Friend him on Facebook. Watch his videos. Read his articles. Vital information from a Christian masculine perspective that we all desperately need in these beast-driven times.
And I'm going to go back through this video, and I'm going to add chapters so
Oh,
people
yeah.
can just jump to videos that are,
Cool.
topic related to make it, people can get what they need
Yeah.
quicker.
Yeah. Sweet.
So, yeah. Raymond, thank you, sir. You have a great Sunday evening.
Yeah.
And we'll be in touch again soon.
Yeah. We'll get you back.
Goodbye. God bless. I'm
All right.
Raymond
See ya.
Mhor.
All right.
Maybe we'll see you in Knoxville. Who knows?
Dude, come on out, man.
I know, man. I got a plan for that. That's going to be a lot.
That'd
of
be
fun.
cool. Yeah.
30 days away. You can do it.
Awesome. Yeah, that's right. All right, Ray. Have a
See
good
you
night,
later.
buddy.
Bye.
Dude, how awesome is that? That
Yeah.
was like, it would have
Great
been awesome to have, John Bernardo on like we were going to have, but like this was totally miraculous. to
Yeah.
have this work out.
A lot of things that I personally needed to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good info, man. Yeah, we all needed to. So we hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you. This was probably one of the most applicable information episodes that we've probably ever done, because we
say
talk
so.
we talk about a lot of really cool, interesting, good stuff, but as far as like real world, what you need to kind of do to keep your family safe and fed over the next the coming months or
Yep.
year, this is pretty vital info. So,
Absolutely. I'm going to put our link to the new channel. If you're not watching this on the Gosslings new channel, we want you guys to go over there.
mhm.
If you're watching this on the Gosslings old channel, I mean, that's great and all, but all of our content's going to be on the new channel now.
Yeah.
And eventually we won't be streaming anything to the old channel. We're kind of getting out from under the thumb of
The jackboot heel
yeah.
of the beast.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I'm putting that link up there right now. Hopefully, if I can get this to work. But please go over to the new channel and join us there.
Yeah.
That's where we're going to be posting all of our stuff moving forward. Here we go. Let's get
Yeah,
this up
if
here.
you are watching this on the old channel and you're a subscriber, you need to go to the new channel and be a subscriber at the new channel, because eventually this channel will get sort of relegated to secondary status. We're not quite sure exactly how we're going to utilize this old channel, if we're even going to keep it. So we got to get out from under the boot heel of the beast, and the best way to do that, we've worked really hard to get the amount of subscribers that we have, and we want to keep you guys and get as many of you guys over to the new
Yep.
channel as possible. We
Yep.
we obviously want tons of new subscribers, but we don't want to abandon our old subscribers. We
No.
want you guys
No, we want
to
you
come
to
with
bring
us.
over. Yep, come on
come
over.
on to the arc.
And I know that's
with
like
us.
a crazy that link that
Yeah.
I just shared on the screen.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to copy down that code, but I did put it in the comments just now.
Yeah.
Of the video, so you can go and the link is active there.
Copy paste,
But
click.
I just want to put this up so you guys are aware. There's a
Yeah.
new channel that we're moving over to.
Yeah.
And that is our new home. That is our new home. And I probably made that really, really clear with all of the weird looking red graphics on the old channel. If you see the color red, you're on the wrong channel.
Yeah.
Red is bad.
Red is bad.
Don't do that.
Yellow good. Yellow good. Yellow gold. Yellow
Yeah.
good.
Want to give
Yellow
a
sunshine.
shout out to our patrons, of course. Jay
Yes.
Reese, Shannon, Roseanne, Adam, and
Yeah.
Mike. Got to add Mike in there too.
Oh,
Mike-
really?
Mike Fisher's he's a patron.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, thank you,
Thanks,
Mike.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. We really, really appreciate it. We're so honored to
Yeah.
have you guys support us. And if you are not a member, if you are not an honorary Gosling,
Yes.
you got to do it.
Got to
You
do
got to
it.
do it. You know why? Because we have an exclusive conversation, a
Mhm.
private conversation that we had with Raymond before we went live today, and that's going to be available only to our patrons.
Yeah.
So go to Patreon.com/the Goslings and sign up. It's $5.
Yeah.
Exclusive content, discount on T-shirts.
Mm-hmm.
You get some of our books for free.
Mm-hmm.
We do a monthly Discord chat. That's where we
Updates on schedule.
Yep.
You know, if you want to find out who's going to be on ahead of time.
Yep.
The Patreon is the place to be.
Plus I love you just a little more.
And I hate you just a little less. No.
That's right.
No, just kidding. I love you too.
But your support is greatly appreciated. $5. I mean, that's basically a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
That's basically a cup of my coffee.
And yeah, that's right. Well, and Nick does so much work. He puts so much effort into this on the production side that really what we're hoping to do, especially if we can get it on other platforms like Gab, you know, we have it on Rumble and all these different things. If we can get more Patreon members, then honestly, like we can afford to pay a producer or pay an engineer to come in and run sound, get everything set up, and monitor the audio, monitor the chat, and just sort of take pressure off so that Nick and I can focus, especially Nick, can focus more on the content itself and also do some back of house work for us as far as finding other guests and communicating with them so that we can keep the train rolling. So
absolutely.
we're not trying to like get more Patreon members or subscribers so we can like go to Hawaii.
No.
You know, we're trying to do this so that we can like afford to really have
higher
you
quality
know,
show.
higher quality shows.
You know, amazing interview guests, a great show.
Yeah.
And it, you know, just be a little more engaging.
Yeah.
And have a broader reach. So, and Shannon, she said, "Come on to the arc." Yeah. So, like from our old channel to our new channel, yes, come join the arc. The old one's gonna sink.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna destroy it.
Yeah.
Digital deluge. It's coming.
The digital deluge.
Get on
is
the arc.
coming.
Yes,
You know, we should do like another promo video with like that's the theme. The digital deluge.
We'll show a
is
picture
coming.
like a cartoon arc.
Yeah.
With like the new Goslings channel logo on it.
Uh-huh. And the old one is pixelated.
Yeah.
You know, and it's sinking. You know, all the alligators.
Fire
are
from
swimming
heaven
off of
coming down on it.
it. Stone.
Yeah.
Leviathan's tentacles come up and wrap around it and pull it to the drink. Yeah.
Joe made a comment here. You know, let's turn the chat overlay up.
Okay.
See what's up with that. Let's see here. Joe said, let's see here. You should have me as a guest. I know a lot about prepping. Interesting. Let's talk about. Send an email to the Goslings Group at gmail.com here.
Mm-hmm.
The Goslings.
It's with 2 S's for the Goslings. Yeah, if you are interested in being a guest or if you know of someone and you would like to make a recommendation, then email us at thegoslingsgroup@gmail.com.
Yep.
That is the repository of all of that information for us. Obviously, you know, we respond to comments pretty well as much as we can. We also are on Instagram and Facebook, so you can always reach us through there. But the Goslings Group at Gmail is sort of like the later. Yeah, we're on Twitter too.
Yeah. The email is the best way to get a hold of us. We're all over Instagram. We're both on Instagram individually, but the Goslings has their own Instagram profile at the Goslings. Also, you can find us on Twitter too, and I put eyeballs on that maybe once or twice a day.
Yeah, I stay on top of it. Probably about the same. Yeah, a few times a day.
Well, man. Oh, we got to mention t-shirts.
Yep.
Get you one.
Yeah, Gosslings
one.
t-shirts.
Yes.
You can see them here.
His says every time we're huge typewriter aficionados. His says every time a bell rings, a devil's laptop dies. How awesome is that? Mine's interviews to Strike Down the Darkness.
Yeah.
And then I think, and next week, real quick, next
Speaking
week,
of striking down the darkness,
yes,
Mama Shay OC.
Mama Shay OC
Shannon
is going to strike down the darkness next week.
Yeah.
As we interview her, and talk about her background, her history, her conversion, and her testimony. It's going to be very, very powerful.
She is a friend of she's a Patreon member. She's a patron,
yep.
and she's friends with Jay Reese Bradley, who is also, just like Nick and I, she is a self-published author on Amazon. She publishes young adult fiction, or is it middle grade?
Middle grade.
It's middle grade. Yeah, she publishes middle grade.
Yeah.
And she's friends with Shannon, and Shannon has a great testimony about coming out of satanic witchcraft, and coming to know the Lord, becoming a Christian. And so we're really looking forward to next week to talk to her about all that stuff.
It's going to get spiritual next week.
Yeah, because you don't think that stuff is real. It's
the supernatural is real, folks.
Yeah, and the people who practice it, they're real people. Yeah. So yeah, it's going to be a good one. Tune in.
Yes. I don't think. Let's see.
Here. Yeah. Our t-shirts are on Teespring, or I guess it's called Spring now. We got a bunch of designs, so if you're into those, Nick and I are also self-published authors on Amazon. So if you're into Nick Goss's content, he writes the Travelers League series, which is middle grade fiction for kids. It's kind of fantasy, kind of like Peter Pan, Lost Boys, Hook, meets the Boy Scouts. It's a lot of fun. He also has his young adult supernatural urban thriller, Henry Half Moon. Yeah. So, and then I have the Heavenly Realm series. If you're into angelic warfare, masculine war fiction, then there's a bunch of stuff out there for you. You can check it out on Amazon.
Yep.
And I guess that's just about everything.
I think so. I think we covered everything, guys. This has been a long one, but it's been amazing.
Yeah.
Thanks everybody for the chat activity. Great comments. And we will see you next 4:30 next Sunday, 4:30 Central Time. We will be going live with Shannon. Until then, go forth
and strike down the darkness.